Chapter 150. Seeing that Fatty Chu had worked so hard, Sima Yu kindly made a set of roasted pig trotters for him. At the same time, she also dissected the ivory-toothed pig so that it could be everyone's meat for the following period of time. While she was cooking, Fatty Chu sat in meditation to rest. When she was done, Fatty Chu had also recovered. Wow, smells good. Fatty Chu came over and saw that Sima Yue had already prepared everything and was roasting pig trotters. He said, "I was just saying. I didn't think that Yue would really know how to roast pig trotters. It smells so good." Sima Yue was putting the last bit of seasoning on the pig trotters. She glanced at him and said, "Didn't someone say that he wanted to eat tonight when he waved his fist?" Then he said it again. "Seeing that you want to eat so much, I'll let you do it this time." "Hi Yue, you're just right. Whoever marries you in the future will have good food," Fatty Chu said while drooling. "I don't have any plans to get married." Sima Yue shrugged and said, "When I'm done with what I have to do, I'm afraid that I'll become a leftover woman." "You saved General Sima and the others, what else do you have to do?" Fatty Chu reached out to grab the roasted pig trotters but was slapped away by Sima Yue. "That's right, Yue, other than saving General Sima, what else do you have to do?" Wei Ziqi asked curiously. Sima Yue smiled but did not reply. She still had many things to do. She had to save Sima Lai and the others, find the original body's parents, and settle the grudges from her previous life. Although she had not recalled all the memories from her previous life, from her dreams, the Shiman family's revenge was waiting for her. Other than that, she also had to help Emo Sha find the other half of his soul. She had a feeling that Emo Sha's strength was not low. If she got involved with him, she might get involved with the devil realm in the future. Regardless of whether it was good or bad, this gave her a headache. She prepared all the dishes before passing the roasted pig trotters to Fatty Chu. Seeing him eating so happily, it was as if he was venting all the grievances from the fight in the morning. After lunch, everyone continued to walk into the mountain. Perhaps it was because their location was closer to the inner part of the mountain, they encountered two high-level, low-level spirit beasts in the afternoon. Because the two spirit beasts in the afternoon were not like the fanged boar who only knew how to use brute force, it was more difficult to deal with them. One time, Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang went up together. The other time, it was Ouyang Fei and Wei Ziqi. After cleaning up the mess, everyone set up camp beside a small stream in the valley. The battle in the afternoon had more or less injured everyone, so everyone went back to rest early, leaving only the spirit beasts to keep watch. Sima Yue took out the golden snake fruit tree and ate a pill to recuperate. After a while, she opened her eyes and jumped down from the bed. She took out the alchemy furnace and herbs and began to refine pills. The Sima family still relied on her to supply them with medicinal pills, so when she was resting, she had to refine some commonly used medicinal pills. Then, she would let little Roar deliver them to the designated location and hand them over to the person who came to collect the goods. At the same time, she treated it as practicing her alchemy skills. For the rest of the night, as long as she did not refine pills, she would cultivate or comprehend the space. As her comprehension of the space increased and deepened, she also understood more about it. The world around her also became more and more different. Space was no longer unfathomable to her. It was as if it had a life of its own and could change at any time. Half a month after entering the mountain, they found a natural cave. There were a few secret passages in the cave. Everyone tidied it up and widened it, turning it into their own rooms. For the time being, that place was their base camp. During the day, they would either battle with each other or look for spirit beasts to train with. At night, there were various arrangements. Sima Yue and everyone else's lives were filled to the brim. However, because the golden snake fruit tree needed moonlight to shine on it, Sima Yue would often spend the night outside. Because the spiritual qi here was dense, after every battle, everyone would spend a period of time to recover the spiritual qi in their bodies. Every time, they would reap quite a bit of benefits. After entering the mountain for less than a month, Sima Yue advanced to a 9th-level spirit master. More than a month later, after a battle with a 1st-level sacred beast, she broke through and became a 1st-level great spirit master. That night, Sima Yue was cultivating and consolidating her newly attained Great Spirit Master cultivation. Suddenly, she felt the movement of the Devil's Snare bracelet. She hurriedly called Little Roar out and let him set up a barrier. Once the barrier was set up, Empress appeared in the cave. "It's done," Sima Yue asked somewhat excitedly. Thinking about it, Empress had not contacted her for half a year. She was worried that there would be problems during the fusion of the spirit orb. She was also worried that Empress would not be able to persevere and that his soul would be harmed. However, he did not contact her, so she did not dare to contact him rashly. Empress nodded and a small pagoda appeared in front of Sima Yue. It did not look any different from the 7-layered pagoda from before. 7-layered pagoda? Where's the spirit orb? Sima Yue only saw the small pagoda and asked. "Try to feel the connection between you and it." Sima Yue took the small pagoda and closed her eyes to feel it. She felt that there was a trace of connection between her and the pagoda. With a thought, she, Empress, and Little Roar appeared in another environment. "Where's Little Spirit?" Not seeing Little Spirit, Sima Yue looked around. "I'm here." Little Spirit slowly appeared in the air. Sima Yue went forward and hugged Little Spirit. She stretched out her hand and pinched his face, but her hand was slapped away by his palm. "Look at your awkward appearance. You're still the old Little Spirit." Sima Yue hugged Little Spirit and kissed him as she said, "Haha, of course it's me." Little Spirit wiped away his non-existent saliva. His cute little wife appearance made Sima Yue even happier. "Empress, how are you?" Sima Yue saw that Empress's soul was paler than before and asked with concern. "I'm alright, there aren't any big problems." Empress said, "I see that your soul has become a lot paler." Sima Yue said, "It's just that I used up a bit of soul energy." Empress said indifferently. Sima Yue knew that his current situation was not good, but no matter how she looked at him, he did not seem to want her to worry. "I didn't take good care of that golden snake fruit tree," Sima Yue said guiltily. "I know." Empress had long seen the golden snake fruit tree that was about to wither. "That fruit tree will be fine after a few days," Little Spirit said. "Furthermore, you don't need to take it out every night anymore." But Sima Yue lowered her head and looked at Little Spirit as she asked, "Stupid master, didn't you notice that there are some changes here?" Little Spirit said disdainfully, "I came in to see how the two of you were doing. Naturally, I didn't notice any changes here." Sima Yue said as she looked around and said, "I feel that there are some differences between this place and before." Little Spirit rolled his eyes at Sima Yue and said, "Lower your head and look." Sima Yue obediently lowered her head and actually saw her own shadow. She raised her head and discovered that there was actually a blue sky and white clouds here. There was even a scorching sun. Chapter 151. The Sun. Looking at the sun, Sima Yue was quite shocked. In the past, although the Soul Pearl was spacious, there was no blue sky or white clouds. There was no sun. When she raised her head, it was just chaos. She didn't expect that there would be such a thing now. If there's a sun, will there be a moon? Sima Yue asked as she recalled Little Spirit's words. That's right. In the future, there will also be day and night here. Little Spirit proudly said, "If I want, there can even be wind and rain here. It will be more convenient to plant medicinal herbs in the future." Then wouldn't this become a mini-world? Sima Yue said in surprise. That's right. My place is now a small world. Little Spirit nodded his head and said, "It's just that there aren't many open lands here, so it's not as spacious as other continents. But if there is a chance to continue improving, it will slowly become bigger." Then how can it be improved? Either you find something good to fuse with like this time, or your strength increases. Because I'm connected to you now, if your strength increases, it will also be helpful to me. Sima Yue was helpless. It was related to her power again. Little Roar was an ancient divine beast. Originally, it should have been very powerful, but because of the contract with her, its strength had decreased. In other words, her strength had increased, so it would naturally recover slowly. Exquisite was a paragon artifact, but because of him, she could only transform into hammers and frying pans. Now, he was also saying that it was related to her strength. This made her feel pressured. But then again, she had a lot of powerful things around her, but now it was like she was guarding a few big treasures, but she couldn't open the door to the treasures. She could only sneak a few peeks through the door. Since this golden snake fruit tree doesn't need to be taken out every night, it's also good. It's troublesome to move it around all the time. Sima Yue said, but didn't Emosha say that we can only sense the other half when we're in the bracelet? Doesn't that mean we have to be outside? No need to stay here. I don't know what this 7-layered pagoda is made of, but after fusing with it, my ability has improved. Now I can absorb the essence of heaven and earth to nourish my soul. Little Spirit proudly said. Pivif. Sima Yue burst out laughing. Absorbing the essence of heaven and earth to nourish its soul, what kind of monster did Emosha refine it into? Seeing that Little Spirit was angry, she quickly restrained her smile and asked, what about the 7-story pagoda? We are now in the 7-layered pagoda. Little Spirit said, this is the first floor of the 7-layered pagoda. The first floor of the 7-story pagoda was originally not big, but after fusing with me, it became bigger. Little Spirit said. He snapped his fingers, and a pagoda slowly appeared in front of them. I am now the artifact spirit of this tower, so I can control this tower. This was built for you so you can enter the upper floors. Really? Sima Yue released Little Spirit, pushed open the door and walked in. The first round looked a little dark, presumably because it was just an illusion created by Little Spirit. There's a staircase on the far side. You can go upstairs from there. Little Spirit had not finished speaking when Sima Yue ran up the stairs. In the end, she was fiercely blocked by something, causing her to fall down. Damn, what is that thing? My butt hurts. Sima Yue rubbed her but as she got up, Little Spirit flew over and said, I haven't finished speaking, why are you in such a hurry? The second round hasn't been activated yet, so you can't go up yet. Sima Yue speechlessly looked at the thin layer of barrier on the stairs. Wasn't this teasing her? What you ran so fast yourself. Little Spirit pouted, looking cute. Sima Yue pulled Little Spirit over and shook him as she asked, Little Spirit, aren't you the artifact spirit? Don't tell me you can't open it? I'm not the original artifact spirit. Little Spirit said, if I was the original artifact spirit, it would be a problem for you to go to any number of levels. However, I forcefully invaded this place. It's already not bad to be able to activate the upper few levels. It's impossible to open the barrier on every level. Then how can I go up? Sima Yue curled her lips. Is it related to my strength again? Yes, smart. It's because I'm weak again. Heavens, just strike me with lightning. Sima Yue wailed. Pa! A bolt of lightning struck Sima Yue's body, turning her body black and her hair curly. Seeing her like this, Little Spirit and Little Roar laughed unkindly. Even Emosha couldn't help but curl his lips. Cough cough. Sima Yue coughed twice and spat out a mouthful of black smoke. Little Spirit, what's going on? She regained her senses and saw that she was about to turn into charcoal. She shouted at Little Spirit. Little Spirit clutched his stomach as he held back his laughter and said, Heh, I forgot to tell you. Because this place has already formed its own world and you are the master of this place, your words are equivalent to the heavens here. You asked for lightning to strike you, so lightning came. Little Roar flew onto Sima Yue's head and pulled on her hair, saying, You've always said that there were curly hair in your previous life and you wanted to perm it. Now you don't have to, your hair is already curly. Sima Yue stretched out her hand and pulled on her hair a few times. She felt a piercing pain all over her body. You should eat some pills to heal first. Little Spirit strongly suggested. Sima Yue took out a bottle of pills from her interspatial ring and ate 2 of them before leaving the little pagoda. I realize that the time here is different from the outside world. Little Roar followed Sima Yue out and said, How is it different? Sima Yue rubbed her black face, leaving behind 2 white streaks. It looked even funnier. The time here passes faster than the outside world. Little Spirit said. Wasn't it like this in the past? The medicinal herbs here grow faster than the outside world. Sima Yue said disapprovingly. That was in the past, now I've leveled up. Little Spirit was dissatisfied with Sima Yue's attitude and said loudly, in the past, time only passed for plants, but now it's the same for animals. In other words, even though you've been here for so long, it's only been a short while outside. Even humans can do it? Sima Yue stared at Little Spirit with her eyes wide open. Of course. Little Spirit said proudly. So awesome. Sima Yue hugged Little Spirit and rubbed him in her embrace. She looked at Emo Sha and said excitedly, Emo Sha, what kind of awesome thing did you make for me? I didn't think that it would have such an effect. It's mainly because of the material of the 7-story pagoda. Emo Sha saw that Sima Yue's eyes were about to turn into a straight line and his heart was inexplicably happy. Sima Yue thought of a very serious problem. If it's like this, if I stay here often, won't I age faster than others? Chapter 152. Little Spirit shook his head and said, no, although the flow of time here is very fast, it won't leave any traces of time in a person's body. You will age at the same speed here as you do outside. So magical. Of course, I have something even more magical. You'll know in the future. Little Spirit kept her in suspense. What's the time difference between here and outside? 1 day outside is 3 days inside. So if I stay here for 3 days, it's equivalent to 1 day outside? Yes. That's great. Sima Yue laughed out loud. If Emo Sha wasn't in spirit form, she would have hugged him to show her excitement. She was just worrying that she didn't have enough time, and now this came. It was really like someone giving her a pillow when she was sleepy. Since this was the case, she could cultivate here, learn alchemy, and learn about spatial arrays. Now that she had 3 times the remaining 2 years, it was equivalent to her having 6 years. In the past, I always thought that meeting you was troublesome. Now, I truly feel that meeting you is not bad. Sima Yue stretched out her hand and poked Emo Sha's soul as she giggled. Emo Sha only glanced at her and didn't say anything. He turned into a black fog and retreated back into the bracelet. By the way, there's something else I want to show you. Little Spirit struggled out of Sima Yue's embrace and brought her to a 1-meter square pond. There's a new pool here. Sima Yue said in surprise when she saw the pool filled with a milky white liquid. This is soul fluid. Little Spirit said, plant the golden snake fruit tree next to it. The gas it emits will be absorbed into the soul fluid. Soul fluid can nourish the soul, right? Sima Yue reached out and touched it. She realized that there was very little soul fluid. It only covered the bottom of the pool with a thin layer. That's right. In the future, the heaven and earth essence I absorb will condense into this pool. You and Emo Sha can both use it. You, on the other hand, just directly consume it. Emo Sha, every once in a while, you can put some soul fluid into the bracelet to nourish his soul. It's much more effective than the golden snake fruit tree. Little Spirit said. Little Spirit, you're really a heaven-defying existence. Sima Yue looked at Little Spirit. After leveling up, he could no longer be described with words. Little Spirit proudly swung his chin. He didn't even look at how much effort he and Emo Sha had put in to achieve such an effect. Of course, this was all because of the 7-layered pagoda's heaven-defying effect. He didn't know what the owner of this 7-story pagoda used to refine it, but he could feel that every material used wasn't inferior to his. Moreover, it was forged from several different materials. If he had met that master back then, he was afraid that he could only become one of the materials. All right, you should stay here and recuperate. If you go out like this, you will definitely scare those people. Little Spirit said and disappeared. Hey, tell me what's on the upper floors before you leave. Sima Yue shouted. It's useless to tell you. When your strength reaches a certain level, you will naturally know. After Little Spirit finished speaking, his voice became silent. It seemed that he really didn't intend to tell her what was on the upper floors. Vomit. Sima Yue unhappily curled her lips. Looking at her own black arm, it seemed that she would have to stay here for the next 3 days. She first let Yaguang out. Seeing this, The usually steady Yaguang couldn't help but run away. When Ling Long came out, she hit Sima Yue twice and ran off to find Little Spirit to play with. All of this is out. Why does Qi Yen like to stay in the contract space? Sima Yue sensed Qi Yen. That egg was still sleeping, so she didn't care about him anymore. After that, she planted the golden snake fruit beside her soul pool. Seeing the withered yellow leaves, she took out a jade spoon and gently scooped up a spoonful of soul fluid from her soul pool. She lightly sprinkled it on the tree branch and poured the rest on the roots. I hope it has some use. After doing all this, Sima Yue stood up. Looking at the space that was different from before, she couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart. Grandfather, brother, with Little Spirit and the others, I will definitely go there to find you two in 2 years. Just as she was about to leave to cultivate, the withered golden snake fruit tree let out a rustling sound. She turned her head to look and found that the withered yellow leaves had all fallen off. The bare branches once again sprouted new buds. The new buds grew quickly and quickly, they all bloomed. What is this situation? Sima Yue looked at the changes of the golden snake fruit tree and was fiercely shocked. Was this the snapshot from her previous life? It should be the soul fluid that can increase the growth of the golden snake fruit tree. Emo Sha's voice transmitted from the bracelet. The reason why it can grow so much this time is because you used too much soul fluid just now. Then if I give it another spoonful, will it bloom and bear fruit? Sima Yue asked curiously. Too much is as bad as not enough. If you aren't afraid of killing it, then you can try. Emo Sha said. Then forget it. Sima Yue kept the jade spoon. If it really died, then wouldn't she suffer a huge loss? When you have time, you can use a little to water it. It should be able to greatly increase its growth speed. Emo Sha said. I'll leave this matter to Little Spirit. Sima Yue said. If she watered it a little every day, maybe she would be able to have golden snake fruit again soon. Little Spirit, who was hiding in the shadows, was almost angered to death by Sima Yue. He appeared and hit her with Ling Long. What a waste! What a prodigal woman! Little Spirit howled in grief. Seeing Sima Yue, his face was filled with pain. Why are you so agitated? Sima Yue held her arm that was hurt and looked at Little Spirit with grievance. This soul fluid is so precious, but you actually used it to water the tree. You can only lick it lightly every time, or else your soul will explode. You actually used so much at once. I'm so angry. Little Spirit glared at Sima Yue. He really shouldn't have told her about the existence of this thing. Cough cough, you didn't tell me right. Sima Yue said. Then I just gave it a big spoonful. Will it explode? It won't die. However, it needs a long time to digest the soul fluid that it just absorbed. Little Spirit said. Who knows, maybe after it finishes digesting this time, it will bloom. Hee hee, then I'll give it a drop every time. Sima Yue said. Previously she thought that this soul fluid was too little. She could only take a drop every time. Now, it seemed that this soul fluid was still a lot. She used a bottle to fill a spoonful and knocked it on the devil's snare bracelet, asking, Do you want it? A little black fog appeared on the bracelet. That black fog wrapped around the bottle and entered the bracelet. Taking another look at the golden snake fruit tree, she was satisfied and went to cultivate. Because of the abnormal recovery ability of the light demon body, her body completely recovered after a day. She fiddled around and prepared to go out. Before she went out, she changed the name of the Spirit Pearl. From now on, the Spirit Pearl and the 7-layered pagoda merged into one, and it was called the Spirit Pagoda. Chapter 153. She stayed inside for a long time, but it was not even midnight when she went outside. She let Little Roar keep the enchantment, and then she started to cultivate in the cave. Early in the morning, the few of them woke up at about the same time. They washed up and went out. Today, they were going to look for spirit beasts to battle and improve their combat abilities. After staying here for 2 months, the spirit beasts in the surroundings had basically recognized them. They knew that the 5 of them had abnormal combat strength, so when they saw them, they would stay far away. The few of them searched around but didn't see any spirit beasts. Helpless, they could only search further away. If we go any further, we will enter the territory of the Saint Beasts. Standing at the top of the mountain, Ouyang Fei said as he looked at the mountain range in front of him. Our things are all in the ring anyway. We can leave whenever we want. Fatty Chu said, since we can't find any spirit beasts to fight with us here, why don't we continue moving forward? Sima Yue was a little hesitant. Right now, she was a great spirit master. Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei were 9th-level spirit masters, while Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu were 8th-level spirit masters. It would be fine to deal with 1 or 2 saint beasts, but if they met a group, it would be troublesome. However, if they continued to delay here, it would be difficult to achieve their goal of increasing their strength. Didn't you say that you grew up in the midst of danger? Wei Ziqi saw Sima Yue's hesitation and laughed. Sima Yue's eyes lit up. That's right, didn't I come here with this idea? Why am I hesitating now? Actually, it was also because she felt that Fatty Chu and the rest had followed her here. If it wasn't for her, they wouldn't have come to the Sophia mountain range. At least, they wouldn't have come at this time. Therefore, she would subconsciously consider their safety. Let's go. The front isn't like here. There are more spirit beasts inside, and the forces are stronger. It's enough for us to stay here for a while. Yang Fei said. After sending them away, the spirit beasts that were hiding came out one after another. They hugged each other and cried bitterly. They had finally sent this group of fiends away. It had not been easy. Previously, he thought that they were pushovers, but he didn't expect them to be tough nuts to crack. Every time the spirit beasts provoked them, they didn't have a good ending. They were either killed directly or beaten half to death. They were so scared that they didn't dare to show their faces again. Thus, everyone joined forces to hide from them. When they couldn't find the spirit beasts, they naturally left. Who would have thought that this move would really work? With the fiend gone, their lives could return to how they were before. When Sima Yue and the rest left, they naturally did not know what the low-level spirit beasts were thinking. If they knew, they would probably die. They were not as perverted as they were described to be. However, she also discovered that every single one of them had the strength to fight against those of a higher level. Although Wei Ziqi and the rest were still spirit masters, dealing with a great spirit master was not a problem at all. As for Beigong and Ouyang Fei, if they went all out, their battle prowess could even match that of a level 7 or 8 great spirit master. Needless to say, with her martial arts from her previous life, her abnormal spiritual power in this life, and her pool of spiritual power that was larger than the average person's after her transformation, as well as her all-elemental talent, even if she encountered a mid-level spiritual king, she would still have a chance of winning. Remembering that she could use the spirit pagoda now, she let Little Spirit pick some spirit fruits and gave 2 to each of them. They ate the spirit fruits as they hurried on their way. Spirit fruit? Yue, where did you come from? Fatty Chu saw the spirit fruit and took a bite. It was watery, and when he ate it, a wave of spiritual power flowed from his stomach to his meridians, following his meridians and flowing into his pool of spiritual power. I made it. Sima Yue said as she took a bite of the spirit fruit. This spirit fruit is much better than the ones we ate before. It contains a lot more spiritual power. Wei Ziqi said. Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei silently ate the spirit fruits, but their eyes were filled with curiosity. Sima Yue did not want to tell them about the existence of the spirit pagoda now. Although everyone had guessed a little, they all had a tacit understanding. Of course, letting them know some of her secrets, other than trusting them, was also for her own convenience. When the time came, it would not be too troublesome for her to do anything. After all, living together, there were some secrets that were not easy to hide. Furthermore, eating spirit fruits often could increase everyone's cultivation. There's movement. Sima Yue suddenly stopped and threw away the spirit fruit in her hand. She took out Ling Long and looked to the left in front of her warily. Seeing Sima Yue throw away the spirit fruit that she had just eaten, Fatty Chu's heart ached. However, thinking about it, he knew that she definitely had a lot of spirit fruits. He was happy. Did this mean that he would be able to eat spirit fruits in the future? This time, they met a first-level saint beast, saber-toothed tiger. When it saw them, the saber-toothed tiger immediately rushed over, as if it was hungry and wanted to eat them. We met a saint beast the moment we arrived. Do you have to be so fast? Fatty Chu kept the remaining spirit fruits into his spatial ring and took out his own weapon to meet it. Ouyang Fei and the others were not slow either. When Fatty Chu was complaining, they had already started moving. Although there was only a difference of 1 level between a first-level Saint Beast and a 9th-level Low Spirit Beast, the difference in strength was too great. They could deal with a 9th-level Low Spirit Beast in 2s and 3s, but against a Saint Beast, they still had to work together. Half an hour later, the 5 of them had successfully subdued the saber-toothed tiger. They did not want to kill it, so they did not take its life. Yue, doesn't the Sima family still need spirit beasts? Why don't we tame it and send it back along with the pills when the time comes? Wei Ziqi said. The price of a saint beast was several times higher than that of a low-level spirit beast. A single saint beast was equivalent to the income of many low-level spirit beasts. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. The Sima family still needed spirit beasts to keep up appearances. She had promised the Beast Tamer Master Guild that she would tame some saint beasts for them, but that had not happened yet. She might as well tame these spirit beasts and send them back when the time comes. After this period of time of cultivating the training spirit arts, as well as the growth of her own strength, her mental strength had increased by quite a bit. Now, it was much easier to tame saint beasts. Sometimes she would let Wei Ziqi tame them. After coming to the Sophia mountain range, she had taught the first part of the training spirit arts to Wei Ziqi. She did not say that it was a part of the training spirit arts, but only that it was a method to increase one's mental strength. Wei Ziqi persisted in his practice every night. Now, he was also able to tame spirit beasts within the 2nd level of Saint Beasts. Thus, the group of people began to sweep through the mountains again. As they continued to increase their own strength, they did not forget to tame all the spirit beasts. They knew that Sima Yue had something that could store living creatures. Seeing her tame spirit beasts one by one, they were not surprised at all. Every day, they ate spirit fruits, battled with spirit beasts, and absorbed the dense spirit qi in the mountains. Although they were constantly on the verge of death, their strength was still increasing like a rocket. A few months later, Sima Yue sat on Little Roar and left by herself. She came to the place where she first entered the Sophia mountain range. There, the Sima family's housekeeper was waiting for her. The last time she sent the pills, she said that she wanted him to bring over 10 cages for spirit beasts. Thus, he hurriedly went to the Beast Tamer Master Guild to borrow some cages. Without stopping to rest, he rushed over and waited for Sima Yue to come out. Chapter 154. Young Master. Seeing that Sima Yue was sitting on Little Roar, the butler heaved a sigh of relief and brought his men to greet her. At least she had been here for a few months and was still fine. Uncle Fu, have you been waiting here for a long time? Sima Yue got down from Little Roar and helped the butler up. No, I just arrived not long ago. The butler said. In fact, he had been waiting here for a few days. Did you bring the cage I asked you to prepare? Sima Yue asked. I've brought them. With a thought from the butler, hundreds of cages appeared at the foot of the mountain. Young master, you've already sent back a lot of low-level spirit beasts. Why do you need so many cages this time? Sima Yue looked at the cages and nodded her head in satisfaction. Hearing his words, she said, the spiritual beasts from before weren't of a high level. This time, I've prepared some higher-level ones. When you go back, give some of them to the Beast Tamer Master Guild and keep the rest as the store's signature item. Then, I'll raise some 7th or 8th grade spirit beasts. Whoever in the family needs to contract them can do so. Level 7 or 8 Saint Beast. When the guards heard Sima Yue's casual words, they couldn't help but gasp. Young master, where did you get so many spirit beasts? The housekeeper was not concerned about the spirit beasts, but about Sima Yue's safety. Usually, I'll just accept it when I'm defeated. As Sima Yue spoke, she took out the spirit beasts from the spirit pagoda and said, put these spirit beasts in. The guards initially thought that Sima Yue was exaggerating when she said that she had brought so many cages over. They did not expect that she had actually tamed so many spiritual beasts. Even though they boasted that they were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen so many tamed spirit beasts at once. Didn't you hear young master's words? Pack up these spirit beasts. The butler urged when he saw that the guards didn't move. Yes, butler. Hearing the steward's urging, those people moved and put the spirit beasts into cages. Sima Yue smiled and said, Uncle Fu, I've prepared a spirit beast for you. Sima Yue nodded and took out the spirit beast that she had prepared for the butler. 9th level holy beast. Goshawk. Heavens, it's really a level 9 holy beast. Sima Yue looked at the butler and said, This is the highest level spirit beast that I can tame now. Once you guys form a contract with it, it should be able to become a divine beast. Uncle Fu, what do you think? The butler noticed that Sima Yue was looking at him like a child waiting to be praised. He waved his hand and said, Young master, how can I accept this level 9 holy beast? You should keep it for yourself. Sima Yue held his hand and said, Uncle Fu, I know how to tame beasts and I'm in the Sophia mountain range. Why would I be afraid that there won't be any spirit beasts for me to contract? I know that you've been able to form a contract with other spirit beasts for a long time, but you've never met a suitable one. Now, this is something that I've specially prepared for you. Are you still unwilling to accept it? Butler, this is a token of young master's appreciation. Please accept it. Yeah. The guards behind him all tried to persuade him. The butler looked at Sima Yue's sincere gaze and the corners of his eyes became slightly moist. He nodded and said, All right. This old servant will accept it. This old servant thanks young master. Previously, she had not been able to tame such a high-level spirit beast. After a few months in the Sophia mountain range, she was able to tame a level 9 holy beast. How hard must she have been working these past few months? Then you can form a contract with it. Sima Yue pulled him to the front of the goshawk and placed his hand on the goshawk's forehead. Then she retreated to the side and watched him form a contract. The light of the contract first enveloped the man and beast. After the contract was successful, the man and beast were then enveloped by the light of promotion. Sima Yue looked at the goshawk on the ground and remembered that Sima Lin had used this to take Sima Lai and the others away. After the promotion, the goshawk successfully became a divine beast and the butler advanced 2 levels, breaking through the Spirit Overlord and becoming a level 1 Spirit Emperor. Spirit Emperor. The butler has become a Spirit Emperor. Seeing the butler's current level, everyone became excited. The butler also did not think that he would become a Spirit Emperor just like that. For a moment, he felt as if he was in a dream. Yes, Uncle Fu is also a Spirit Emperor. With the addition of the Divine Beast, the Sima family is equivalent to having 2 Spirit Emperors. Sima Yue was happy for the butler. In the future, the Sima family will be handed over to you. No one will dare to casually come and provoke us. Young master? The butler understood the meaning behind Sima Yue's words and looked at her anxiously. Uncle Fu, wait for me to go over there. The Sima family will be handed over to you sooner or later. Sima Yue said, If Grandpa and I don't come back, then the Sima family will be handed over to you. Young master, we will wait for you to come back. The butler said. If we can save Grandpa and the others, it will be up to them whether they want to come back or not. If we can't save them, the Sima family cannot remain without a master. Sima Yue said, 10 years. If we don't come back in 10 years, you will be the master of the Sima family. With your current strength, it is natural for you to become the master of the family. Young master, Uncle Fu, don't decline. You should know that a family cannot remain without a master. Sima Yue said, You don't want to see the Sima family decline like this, right? Do you want me to be worried about this place even when I leave? Sigh, I promise, young master. The butler replied unwillingly. Yes, I will leave here in a year and go over there. I will try my best to prepare more pills and spirit beasts for you. But you have to quickly recruit an alchemist and beast tamer. Sima Yue said. I understand, young master. The butler said, We have already recruited an alchemist. Young master, you don't have to worry about the pills. That's good. Sima Yue said. Young master, regarding the matter of saving the general, you have to do your best. I think the general and the other young masters don't want you to live too hard for them. The butler said with heartache. Sima Yue looked at the old man who loved her like an uncle. She smiled sweetly and said, "Happiness is happiness when a family is together. No matter how good one's life is, it's not good to be alone. Uncle Fu, you have to take care of yourself. They are still waiting for me. I will go back first." "Sigh, young master, go ahead. Be careful," the butler said with a sigh. Sima Yue hugged the butler and turned around to sit on Little Roar. She waved at the butler and flew towards Sophia Mountain. The butler and the guards watched as Sima Yue left. Only when she disappeared did they plan to leave. "Butler, we have so many sacred beasts. How are we going to bring them back?" A guard looked at the dozens of cages and was worried. The butler didn't think that there would be so many. He originally wanted to bring 2 cages each, but he didn't think that there would be so many cages. "Master, sit on me back," Goshawk said, and its body grew bigger. Its huge body was more than enough to put down the dozens of cages. There was no other way now. The butler nodded and said, "Okay, you guys carry the cages up." Those guards didn't think that they would be able to sit on a sacred beast in their lifetime. After carrying the cages up, everyone sat on Goshawk and headed back to the imperial capital. When they returned to the imperial capital, the divine beasts earned the attention of the Sima family. It also announced to others that the Sima family's position was unshakable. Chapter 155. Sima Yue sat on Little Roar and returned to Sophia Mountain Range. When they returned, Fatty Chu was fighting with Wei Ziqi. Every time the 5 of them fought, they used real guns and bullets. They really wanted to compete with each other. Only a real fight could improve people. They didn't want to become someone who only knew how to cultivate but had no combat power. Sima Yue landed beside Bei Gong Tang and the others while Little Roar ran off to play by himself. She was not worried about Little Roar's safety. Perhaps it was because he was an auspicious beast, so no matter how high his rank was, he would be able to play with others very quickly. Those spirit beasts would not harm him. Bei Gong Tang nodded towards Sima Yue and asked, "Is it done?" "Yes, I've already handed it over to Uncle Fu and the others," Sima Yue said. Seeing Fatty Chu rushing towards Wei Ziqi, she sighed. Fatty's speed is much faster than before. "Yeah, you've lost a lot of weight. It seems like this is also effective," Ouyang Fei said. "Fatty, you must have lost a few kilos in the past few months, right? Are we still going to call him Fatty when he's not fat anymore?" Sima Yue rubbed her chin and pondered. "He's not fat anymore. He looks like he's not used to it," Bei Gong Tang said. When Fatty Chu heard them talking about his figure, he rolled his eyes speechlessly, but the movements of his hands did not slow down. He was no longer the young lad who was distracted when he first entered the mountain and was thrown out by his opponents. These few months of hard training had matured him quite a bit. Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu fought for close to half an hour, and in the end, it was still Wei Ziqi who had a slight advantage. Although Fatty Chu had lost, he was in a pretty good mood. He laid on the ground and laughed heartily. This time, I've lasted longer than the last time. Ziqi, I might be able to surpass you soon." "Oh wait," Wei Ziqi said without showing any signs of weakness. After the 2 of them had rested, Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei started to fight again. Not long after, they heard Little Roar wailing as he ran towards them. "You run. The bandits are coming." Sima Yue looked towards the direction where Little Roar came from and was immediately stunned. Damn, what the hell was that group of divine beasts? Little Roar flew in front as a group of divine beasts chased after him. That fiendish appearance made it seem as if Little Roar had provoked them and was being chased after. "You save me." Little Roar saw Sima Yue from afar and quickly flew towards her. Sima Yue immediately reacted and shouted at Bei Gong Tang and the others, "Ouyang, Bei Gong, stop fighting, run. Fatty, don't just lie there, get up." "What's the matter, Yue? I'm so tired that I don't even have the energy to run." Fatty Chu lay on the ground, not realizing that danger had arrived. "Me too, I don't have any strength left," Wei Ziqi said. The nearby spirit beasts had all been taken care of by them, and there weren't many spirit beasts that were willing to come out. They had been planning to change their location for the past 2 days, so they didn't leave any energy for themselves when they were fighting. Bei Gongtang and Ouyang Fei heard Sima Yue's words and stopped. They looked towards the direction of the commotion and saw a group of divine beasts. The two of them were stunned. It was Sima Yue's shout that made them come back to their senses. They ran over and helped Sima Yue pull the two people on the ground as they ran. Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi only just realized that a group of divine beasts were attacking. This time, they didn't need Sima Yue to urge them as they started running on their own. F***CK, aren't the divine beasts in the inner regions? Why are there so many divine beasts here? Fatty Chu saw the divine beasts quickly approaching and shouted. It must be Little Roar's fault again. Sima Yue didn't need to think to know that he must have teased someone he shouldn't have teased. No, spirit beasts. No, I can't run anymore. Fatty Chu ran for a while and was really too tired. He didn't have any energy left. Sima Yue saw that the divine beasts had already locked onto them. Even if they continued to run, they wouldn't be able to escape. There were quite a few divine beasts and many saint beasts. They could kill them in a matter of minutes. There was no other way. Sima Yue stopped. Ouyang Fei and the others saw that she had stopped and followed suit, saying anxiously, Yue, run quickly. We can't outrun them even if we run. Sima Yue said, Little Roar, you better hurry up. Fatty Chu already couldn't run anymore. He ran to Sima Yue's side and supported her as he panted heavily. Little Roar turned his head to look at the divine beasts that were just a little bit away from him. He moved his little legs and increased his speed, pouncing into Sima Yue's embrace. Bei Gongtang and the others also knew that it was useless to continue running. Seeing that Sima Yue and the others had stopped, they also stopped and prepared to make a last stand. You, quickly catch me. Little Roar pounced into Sima Yue's embrace, and those spirit beasts also pounced over. They had already seen the divine beast's teeth clearly and thought that they were most likely going to die here today. However, just as the divine beasts were a few meters away from them and pounced towards them, the scene in front of them suddenly changed. The divine beasts had all disappeared. Fatty Chu closed his eyes and waited for the last bit of pain. However, it didn't come even after a long time. He opened his eyes slightly, wanting to see what was going on. He didn't expect to see a foreign place. Where are the divine beasts? Fatty Chu opened his eyes and saw that the others were there. He asked suspiciously. Bei Gongtang and the others were also surprised as they looked at their surroundings, asking, Yue, where is this? This is inside the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue said, It's my own space. Spirit pagoda? Your own space? Isn't there no air in the space, so it can't contain living things? The spirit pagoda is a little special. It's a world of its own. It's not much different from the outside. It's just that it's inside a pagoda. Sima Yue said, The spirit fruits that you all eat grow here. Wow, there really are so many spirit fruits. Fatty Chu saw a patch of spirit fruit trees. There were all kinds of spirit fruits hanging on the trees, looking very tempting. He couldn't resist the temptation and ran to a tree to pluck one. When he held it in his hands, he started to chew on it. So many medicinal ingredients. Bei Gongtang saw all kinds of medicinal ingredients of different ages and walked over quickly. Stargrass, colored glass leaves, xianku, so many kinds. Sima Yue didn't expect Bei Gongtang to be so familiar with medicinal ingredients, saying, Bei Gong, are you familiar with medicinal ingredients too? Yeah, my family used to be an alchemy family. Although I don't have the qualifications to learn, I still have a good understanding of medicinal ingredients. Bei Gongtang said. The spirit beasts that you tamed before were also placed here, right? Wei Ziqi thought of those spirit beasts and knew that she had a place where living things could be placed, but he didn't expect it to be this kind of space. Yue, this place of yours is really too mystical. Fatty Chu looked at the things in the spirit pagoda and his eyes almost popped out. I'll bring you all around in a while. Sima Yue said. She grabbed Little Roar, who wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape, and said with a serious face, Speak, what did you do this time? Chapter 156. Little Roar shrunk his neck and rolled his eyes left and right. He tried to pat Sima Yue's hand with his short legs. I didn't do anything. Sima Yue bent her index finger and thumb and flicked his head, saying, if you didn't do anything, why would those divine beasts chase after you? Don't you have a natural affinity with spirit beasts? If you didn't do something wrong, why would an entire herd of spirit beasts chase after you? Are you going to tell me or not? If you don't tell me, I'll throw you out. In any case, those divine beasts are still outside. Hearing Sima Yue's threat, Little Roar reluctantly said, actually, I really didn't do anything. I just saw that their queen was pretty and said a few words. How many words did he say? Sima Yu patted its head again and roared, did you go and flirt with their queen? I didn't say anything, and then the queen said she wanted to go with me. Little Roar was still feeling very wronged. Who knew that their king actually took it seriously? That's why it's like this. Yu, I really only said a few words. Sima Yue was speechless. This guy really knew how to cause trouble. What did you say? She guessed that it was definitely not something ordinary. Otherwise, why would they send so many divine beasts and holy beasts to kill it? I was just saying that you're so pretty, do you want to go somewhere else with me to play or something? Seeing Sima Yue's gaze getting darker and darker, Little Roar's voice got softer and softer, and his neck got tighter and tighter. When Sima Yue saw Little Roar's expression, she was both angry and amused. How could she have such a lustful contracted beast? Didn't the ancient books say that auspicious beasts represented peace? Why did she see such a wretched expression on Little Roar? Especially when she was wearing a cute coat. Every time it made a mistake, it used its cute appearance to gain sympathy. Its attitude was sincere, and it did not change. Seeing Sima Yue's angry look, Little Roar blinked his big cute eyes and hugged his two front legs together. He said weakly, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Peef! The four people at the side burst out in laughter. They never thought that Little Roar would be able to stir up such a situation. He actually went to flirt with the queen of the divine beasts. Cough cough, Yue, since he has already admitted his mistake, you shouldn't blame him. Bei Gong Tang saw Little Roar's appearance and was mesmerized by his cuteness, so she pleaded on his behalf. That's right. Little Roar nodded his head in agreement. Sima Yue flicked it again and said, if you dare to flirt with spiritual beasts again, I'll lock you in the contract space for a year. Little Roar wanted to use his short legs to cover his head, but his legs were too short, so he could only cover his ears. I won't, it hurriedly promised. If there's a next time, I'll teach you a lesson. Sima Yue said as she threw Little Roar into the air. Once Little Roar obtained his freedom, he ran away like a wisp of smoke. Seeing this man and beast, everyone laughed. Yue, how long do we have to stay here? Fatty Chu came over and asked. At least until those spiritual beasts leave. Sima Yue said, I feel that it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter even if we stay here for a few years. Fatty Chu said, the spiritual qi here is much denser than outside. If we can cultivate here, the effects will be even better. This place also has its own restrictions. Sima Yue said, Little Spirit, let us see the situation outside. Little Spirit appeared in the air. With a wave of his little hand, a curtain appeared in the air, and the situation outside appeared in front of everyone. Those spiritual beasts were circling around outside non-stop, as if they were puzzled as to why these people had suddenly disappeared. Looks like they won't leave for a while. We have to stay here for a while. Sima Yue saw a few spiritual beasts lying on the ground, as if waiting for them to appear. Yue, this is? Wei Ziqi looked at Little Spirit. What was a little child doing here? This is Little Spirit. He is the weapon spirit of the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue said, he is in charge of everything here. He is my little housekeeper. Weapon spirit? Bei Gong Tang looked at Little Spirit in shock. When she was in the primordial lands, she knew that there were some divine weapons that could produce a weapon spirit. However, those divine weapons were of a very high level and there were very few of them. She never thought that Sima Yue would actually have one. Sima Yue said, since we can't go out now, I'll bring you guys around. Sure, I'm very curious about this place. Fatty Chu said with a smile. Although Ouyang Fei and the others did not say anything, Their gazes were the same. Sima Yue brought them around. The medicine field, the pill refining room, the cultivation room, and the library. In the library, they realized that there were many different types of books. They were a little dazzled. Pill refining, weapon refining, beast taming, cultivation. Oh my God, Yue, you have everything here. Wei Ziqi looked at the books and became extremely excited. Little Spirit's previous owners had all kinds of occupations. These things were all left behind by them. Sima Yue said, if you guys are interested in anything, feel free to look around. Really? Of course. Anyway, it's not like these books will disappear after you read them. Sima Yue smiled and said, furthermore, the resources here are very rich. You can practice as much as you want. Of course, there are no spirit beasts, but there are many in the mountains outside. If it was in the past, she would have hesitated to bring them in. However, they had walked all the way to where they were now, and had experienced a lot together. Even when she was at her lowest point, they did not alienate her. Instead, they did their best to help her and comfort her. The reason why the Sima family was not annexed after Sima Lai was because of their help. She had always kept their feelings for her in her heart. Furthermore, they were worried that she would be alone, so they even chose to come here with her. After such a long period of observation, she understood everyone's character. She had said before that she did not care about adding flowers to brocade. She cared more about providing help in times of need. Furthermore, these things were useless here, so she might as well share them with them. I suddenly feel like I'm in a dream. Fatty Chu stretched out his hand and pinched Wei Ziqi, who was beside him. The latter cried out in pain. If you can still cry out, it means that you can feel pain. Then we're not in a dream. Fatty Chu did not see the anger in Wei Ziqi's eyes and said happily. Ouyang Fei rolled his eyes at the two of them and continued to read the book in his hand. Bei Gong Tang smiled faintly and lowered her head to look at the book in her hand before putting it down. Sima Yue looked at the book she was reading just now. It was a book on alchemy. She could see the reluctance in Bei Gong Tang's eyes. She seemed to want to learn alchemy, but she forced herself to put it down. Bei Gong, don't you want to learn alchemy? She asked. I do, but we don't have that much time to learn now. Bei Gong Tang said. When she said this, the excited Fatty Chu and the others' smiles faded. They urgently needed to increase their strength and did not have the time to learn these things. They were not like Sima Yue, who had such abnormal talent. Chapter 157. As long as you want to learn, there will always be time. Sima Yue said. Didn't the great man say that time is like water in a sponge? As long as you are willing to squeeze, there will always be some. Bei Gong Tang still shook her head, saying, I need to spend more time cultivating because I don't have that much time left. Is it because of your family? Sima Yue asked. I said that I would go and save them, but I can't go now. I have to reach the divine rank as soon as possible. Only then will I have the qualifications to save them. Bei Gong Tang said, so my goal isn't to walk out of this mountain range. Seeing the forbearance on Bei Gong Tang's face, everyone felt bad for her. Fatty Chu said, Bei Gong, who are you going to save? My mother and brother. Where's your father? Don't mention that scum to me. Bei Gong Tang suddenly became agitated, and her tone was a little bad. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. Sima Yue walked over and held her hand. Bei Gong, can you tell us more about yourself? My story is actually very simple. I met a scumbag father who fell in love with another woman. That woman gave birth to a daughter and then bullied my mother and brother together. Due to some reasons, I was chased out and fled to the Dongqing country. Bei Gong Tang finished her story in a few sentences, but they could see that it wasn't easy for her. Are your mother and brother still in the clan? Ouyang Fei asked with a frown. Bei Gong Tang nodded, saying, Our clan is an alchemy clan, but they don't allow me and my younger brother to refine pills. My mother's alchemy level is not bad, but her strength is not strong, so they imprisoned my brother and my mother, and made my mother refine pills for them. After that, I escaped. I told my brother and the others that I would go back and save them. Bei Gong Tang thought of the past and clenched her fists tightly. Beigong, don't worry. Auntie and brother will be fine. Sima Yue comforted her. But even so, you can still learn alchemy. Yu, thank you for your kind intentions, but I still want to spend my time and effort on cultivation. Beigong Tang said. I can give you some other time, Sima Yue said. Other times? Not only Beigong Tang, the others were also puzzled. You guys just came in, so you might not have noticed that the flow of time here is different from the outside. Sima Yue said, 1 day outside is 3 days here. 3 days? The four of them shouted at the same time. Yes, and the spirit pagoda will erase the traces of time. We won't age faster here than outside. It's equivalent to treating 1 day as 3 days, Sima Yue explained. Oh my god, Yue, you're practically a godly cheat. Fatty Chu clutched his chest, feeling as if he couldn't breathe. Cultivating here for 3 days is equivalent to cultivating for a day outside. The spirit chi is also much better than outside. When cultivating here, the speed is not simply doubled. Ouyang Fei said. No wonder you're so abnormal. Fatty Chu said. Sima Yue shook her head and said, this place didn't have this function before. It was only after Little Spirit had leveled up that it had this function. But at that time, we were already in the mountains, so we didn't come in often. So you're saying that your previous cultivation was the same as ours? Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yue. This guy's time was the same as theirs, but he grew faster than them. This was too much of a blow to them. Before he had leveled up, his growth was already so abnormal. Now that he had this function, they could already imagine how he would agitate them in the future. Normally, we'll be outside training with the spirit beasts. Other times we can come in here. Sima Yue said, this way, Beigong, you can learn alchemy. Beigong Tang nodded her head heavily, looking at Sima Yue. She suppressed the gratitude in her heart. Since it's so good, Yue, can I learn how to refine weapons? Fatty Chu asked. Of course, compared to other professions, refining weapons requires a lot more physical strength. You've learned how to cultivate your body, so it's not bad if you can learn how to refine weapons. Sima Yue said. Fatty, with your carefree personality, can you learn it? Wei Ziqi laughed. Who knows, I might be able to learn it. Fatty Chu said. Little Spirit, is there still a furnace for refining weapons here? Sima Yue asked. There should be. Little Spirit said. Anyway, the things are all in the pavilion. You guys can go look for them yourselves. All right, I'll bring you guys to look for them later. Sima Yue said, I remember there are 2 more pill furnaces. Let's find them together. But Fatty Chu said excitedly. Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Fei and asked, Ouyang, what do you want to learn? I don't have Fatty's physical strength, so I'd better learn how to refine pills. Ouyang Fei didn't forget to tease Fatty Chu. I'd better study beast taming. Wei Ziqi said, I've read many books about beast taming here. I'll just read those. Anyway, there are many things here. If you don't know one thing, you can learn another. Sima Yue said. And then, after that, Sima Yue brought them to the pavilion to look for 2 pill furnaces and a weapon furnace. Then, she let them choose a room to study while she went back to her room to cultivate. Fatty Chu pulled Wei Ziqi around one more time before going back to his room to study weapon refinement. A day later, Sima Yue took a look. Those spirit beasts were still guarding there, probably wondering if they would suddenly appear. However, everyone wasn't in a hurry. Those who cultivated, those who researched, those who wanted to rest could walk around. They didn't have to worry about whether the mermen or spirit beasts would appear. Their days were very comfortable. Speaking of which, they hadn't been so relaxed since they arrived at the Sophia mountain range. 2 days had passed outside before those spirit beasts left. Sima Yue and the rest came out again. Maybe it was because they had absorbed a lot of spirit energy, or maybe it was because their tense bodies had finally relaxed. The 5 of them came out of the spirit pagoda and leveled up one after another. This made Fatty Chu and the rest snort in satisfaction. In the following days, they didn't need to find a place to rest. Every time, they would find spirit beasts outside to fight before returning to the spirit pagoda to rest. Time always passed quickly when there was a schedule. Sima Yue and the rest didn't know that another year had passed. Sima Yue gave the pills and spirit beasts that she had prepared to the Sima family. Wei Ziqi and the rest stayed in the spirit pagoda. Maybe it was because they knew that Sima Yue was about to leave, but these few times, it was the housekeeper who came personally to take the things. Sima Yue gave the spirit beasts to him, saying that this was the last time. The housekeeper saw that Sima Yue had changed. Hearing that she was about to leave, he couldn't help but cry. However, other than telling Sima Yue to take care, he couldn't say anything else. This was because he knew that this day would come sooner or later. Chapter 158. This time, Sima Yue chose to watch the butler leave. Recalling the reluctant expression on the housekeeper's face before he left, she secretly swore in her heart that she would definitely take them out of this place and into a wider world. She called Wei Ziqi and the rest out. Everyone saw the sadness in her eyes and patted her shoulder, saying, "Parting is for the next reunion." "I understand." Sima Yue said, "Do you want to go back for a while? If you want to go back, we'll wait for you here." Fatty Chu glanced at Wei Ziqi and the two of them nodded, saying, "I don't know when I will be able to return after leaving this time. Whether or not I can return, I want to go back and say goodbye to my parents." "Yue, do you want to go back?" Sima Yue shook her head. "I've already said goodbye to the butler. Beigong Ouyang and I will wait for you here. If you don't want to come, you can send a message. We will definitely come back. Just wait for us for a few days." Fatty Chu said with certainty. "Go ahead. Let's meet here in 10 days. Sima Yue waved at them. Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi called out their own spirit beasts and left, quickly disappearing from everyone's line of sight. "What are we going to do in the next 10 days? Sima Yue looked at the city in the distance and said, "Do you want to go into the city and relax?" Bei Gong Tang shook her head, saying, "I'd rather cultivate in the spirit pagoda for a month." "Me too," Ouyang Fei said. "All right then." The three of them walked into the mountain. After confirming that there was no one around, he brought the other two into the spirit pagoda. Excluding the time spent fighting with the spirit beasts, they spent most of their time in the spirit pagoda. In total, they spent more than 2 years in the spirit pagoda. During this period of time, the three of them had made quite a bit of progress in refining pills. Bei Gong Tang had become a 3rd-ranked alchemist, Ouyang Fei had become a 2nd-ranked alchemist, and Sima Yue was already proficient in refining 4th-ranked pills. She was close to becoming a 5th-ranked alchemist. Sima Yue's improvement in alchemy was due to Emo Sha's secret guidance, while Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei's improvement was due to her guidance. Bei Gong Tang's clan was an alchemist clan. Naturally, she knew how difficult it was to refine pills. She never thought that she would become a 3rd-ranked alchemist so quickly under Sima Yue's guidance. Furthermore, the method of refining pills was very unique. If no one explained it in detail, it would be very difficult for ordinary people to learn. Actually, what she didn't know was that Yue had learned all these from Emo Sha, and Emo Sha's alchemy skills were renowned throughout the 3 realms. He was known as the #1 alchemist in the 3 realms. At that time, his alchemy skills made many people scramble like ducks, but unfortunately, no one could learn it. Who would have thought that it would benefit Sima Yue and the others in the end? The 3 of them stayed in the spirit pagoda for a month. Other than cultivating, Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei were refining pills. On the other hand, Sima Yue was managing her time flexibly. Very quickly, it was the appointed day. Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi arrived at the appointed place very early. "You guys are actually so early." A huge bird flew over. Sima Yue sat on top of it and looked at the two below. "Yue, how did your little rock become a divine beast in just 10 days? Fatty Chu looked at the 4-winged rock and leapt onto Little Rock's back. "Spirit King. Only people who were Spirit Kings and above could fly." Fatty Chu could fly up, which meant that he was already a Spirit King. Wei Ziqi smiled, and with a leap he also flew up. Another Spirit King. A year ago, they were only high-level Spirit Masters. Who would have thought that in a year's time, the two of them would already be Spirit Kings? Little Roar sat on Big Rock's head and turned around to look at the two of them, saying, "You finally made a contract with Little Rock today." So, he became a divine beast. Not only did he rise, even Yaguang rose a few ranks. Only I didn't rise at all. It's really unfair. Why didn't you rise? Sima Yue looked at Little Roar and asked. Did I rise? Why don't I feel anything? Little Roar blinked his eyes filled with suspicion. You've risen. After so many years, your face has grown thicker. Sima Yue looked at Little Roar, as if she expected better from him. Only then did Little Roar realize that Sima Yue was making fun of him. He unhappily glared at her and turned his butt towards her. Every time they saw Sima Yue and Little Roar bicker, they felt a different kind of joy. Little Rock carried them in the direction that Ouyang Fei said. That was the place where he came from. It was said that the spirit beasts there were weaker. They decided to leave from that place. Little Rock flew for 4 to 5 days. Just as Fatty Chu was lamenting that they had not reached their destination, Little Rock said that there was an obstacle in front and they could not advance. It should be here. Ouyang Fei said. Little Rock, bring us down. Sima Yue said. Yes, master. Little Rock flapped his wings and brought them down. When they landed on the ground, he transformed and flew onto Sima Yue's shoulder. Sima Yue looked around and realized that the trees here were much sparser than the other places. She tried to walk forward but felt an invisible pressure obstructing her. Fatty Chu also felt the pressure and stretched out his hand to touch it. However, he did not find anything. There's nothing. Why can't we leave? Fatty Chu did not understand. Because there's a barrier here. Little Roar flew in front of everyone. Seeing that they could not leave, he started giggling. Then, under the shocked gazes of Fatty Chu and the others, he easily flew out. Why did Little Roar go out? Don't tell me there's no barrier here? Fatty Chu came to the place where Little Roar went out and walked forward. However, he still could not take another step forward. What's going on? Wei Ziqi also went to try, but it was to no avail. Little Roar had enough of laughing and floated back. You guys don't have to learn from Little Roar. Sima Yue said, it doesn't know what's wrong with its structure. It's naturally immune to barriers, so this barrier can't trap it at all. Wow, that's great. I heard from Ouyang that those people outside like to use barriers to protect their treasures. Little Roar is naturally immune to barriers. Isn't that an essential tool for burglary? Fatty Chu looked at Little Roar with stars in his eyes. Good, I like it. Little Roar patted his short legs and agreed. Sima Yue patted Fatty Chu's head and pulled Little Roar over. She pulled on his long ears and said, if you don't open the barrier for us, I'll make you follow Fatty Chu everywhere. Ayo, I got it. Little Roar struggled a few times before Sima Yue let go of him. He rubbed his ears and walked in front of the barrier. He stretched out his short legs and touched the barrier. He closed his eyes and meditated. The place where his legs touched the barrier slowly turned light blue. Chapter 159. A pale blue halo slowly spread out with Little Roar's hand as the center, forming a circle that was about the height of a person. You, quickly go over. Little Roar said. That's it. Fatty Chu looked at the beautiful halo. The enchantment that had trapped the people of the Dongchen kingdom for so long had been so easily dealt with? Let's go. Sima Yue knew Little Roar's ability and took the lead to pass through the middle of the light. When Bei Gong Tang and the others saw this, they also walked over one after another. Just as the few of them had walked over, Little Roar released the barrier. Where are you going, you pervert? A roar came from the mountain range in the distance, startling everyone. Little Roar turned around to take a look. Oh my God, wasn't this the Beast King whose wife he had teased the last time? Bastard, isn't your territory over there? Why are you here? Little Roar scolded as he saw the divine beast galloping over. This king has been looking for you for more than a year and finally found you. Let's see where you can run to today. The Beast King glared at Little Roar, his eyes filled with rage. Little Roar came back to his senses and wanted to give him the middle finger, but he realized that his fingers were too short and he couldn't do it. So it turned around and shook its butt at the Beast King. Come on, come on. The Beast King was infuriated by Little Roar's provocation and sped up to pounce towards him. It wanted to use its sharp claws to tear Little Roar into pieces. Little Roar saw the Beast King pouncing towards him and retreated a little before shaking his butt at the Beast King. Roar! Bang! The Beast King quickly pounced towards Little Roar. Seeing that it was about to catch him, it suddenly bumped into something. Not only did it not catch the person, but it also bumped into something dizzy. Seeing the Beast King's appearance, Little Roar clutched his stomach as he laughed. Hee hee, you want to catch this little grandpa? Are you having a good time pretending? Do you think it's so easy to catch me? Sima saw Little Roar's smug look and could not help but facepalm. How could she have such a contract beast? It said that she had tricked it into forming a contract. Was that true? She strongly suspected it. She walked over and slapped Little Roar onto the ground, saying, "What are you showing off for? If you do this again, I'll throw you back." Little Roar jumped up like a carp and flew up again. He stared at Sima Yue with a wronged expression. Sima Yue ignored him and said to the Beast King inside, "Little Roar was only joking back then. It's been so long since the incident happened. We have to leave this place too. I'll give you some compensation and let this matter pass." The Beast King looked at Sima Yue without saying a word. She thought that the Beast King was unwilling to let go of this matter. "You want to compensate me?" The Beast King asked after a minute. "It's within my ability," Sima Yue said. She would never agree to anything that was beyond her capabilities. "I don't want anything from you either. I only have one condition." The Beast King said. "What conditions?" Sima Yue asked. "Take me and my clansmen out." The Beast King said. "Out." Sima Yue looked at the Beast King and asked, "You want to leave your territory?" The Beast King crawled up from the ground and shook the fur on his body, saying, "I found out long ago that this place is just a cage. It's just a small territory in a cage. What's there to be reluctant to leave?" Sima Yu's interest was piqued. She sat on the ground and said, "Awesome, you can even tell. When did you find out?" At this moment, Sima Yu's soul affinity was released. The Beast King saw that she sat down and talked to him, so he started chatting with her. "Talking about this makes me cry." The Beast King said, "I found out a long time ago. At that time, I wasn't a divine beast and wasn't a Beast King. There was once when I was chased by a spirit beast that was of a higher rank than me. I escaped to this place and found out that I couldn't get out. In the end, I was almost killed. It was my clansmen who came to save me. From then on, I started to pay attention to this place. After that, I went to many places and found that there was a barrier in this place." Sima Yue didn't expect this spirit beast to be so wise and said, "You're here today to look at this barrier too?" "Barrier?" The Beast King was stunned and asked. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "Little Roar said that this is a naturally formed barrier. It just so happens that the Dongchen Kingdom is trapped inside. We can't get out because we're blocked by this barrier." That's not right." "What's not right?" The Beast King looked at Sima Yue suspiciously, not knowing what was wrong with her. "Didn't you say that we can leave once we're a spirit emperor? Isn't a first-grade divine beast's strength comparable to a spirit emperor? Then why can't you guys get out?" Sima Yue spoke out her thoughts. Wei Ziqi and the rest heard Sima Yue's words and thought of this problem. They were also puzzled by the fact that the divine beasts couldn't get out. The Beast King shook his head, saying, "I don't know why either. I've seen a spirit emperor go out before, but when I tried, my strength didn't work at all. Otherwise, I would have gotten out long ago and wouldn't have asked you to help me." Sima Yue looked at the Beast King, her heart filled with sorrow. There were so many spirit beasts living here, but only a few had discovered this. The only one that wanted to get out was probably the one in front of her. She couldn't help but say that he really was a spirit beast with his own thoughts. She rolled her eyes just like Little Roar when he wanted to trick others. She chuckled, saying, "I know now. You want to get out and don't want to be trapped here. This shows that you're a spirit beast with aspirations. But do you know, even if you get out of here, the outside world isn't the highest. You can only stay in this mountain and wander around. You won't be able to see the world you want to see. The outside world isn't." The Beast King was perplexed. Sima Yue shook her head, saying, "This is the Yi-Lin continent, but this is only the place where the average spirit master lives. Once the spirit master reaches the divine rank, they will go to the higher-ranked continents. Have you heard of the primordial lands?" The Beast King shook his head. He rarely interacted with humans, so he wasn't clear about the distribution of the continents. "Let me tell you, the primordial lands is much higher ranked than the Yi-Lin continent. My master told me not to go there until I reach the divine rank." Sima Yue said, "That's why I think that there must be more exciting than the world here. It's a pity." "Pity what?" the Beast King asked. "I'm sorry for you." Sima Yue said, "You want to see the outside world so much, but if you go out, you'll only wander around the mountain. What's the point of going out?" The Beast King was silent, as if he was thinking about Sima Yue's words. "Actually, the most exciting place in the world isn't the mountain. It's where there are people. You can meet different people, do different things, and see different scenery. Tell me, why are you guarding the mountain outside?" Sima Yue added fuel to the fire. The Beast King raised his head and looked at Sima Yue, saying faintly, "Actually, you just want to persuade me to go with you, right?" Chapter 160. Sima Yue chuckled and did not deny it. When she discovered that the Beast King was a sentient spirit beast, she was tempted. Moreover, it was a divine beast. Being able to cultivate into a divine beast in this land of exile where spiritual energy was scarce meant that it was relatively easy for it to cultivate. If it left this place, it might have better achievements in the future. Moreover, if she could have more mythological beasts, she would have more confidence when she went to the Sima family. "But I don't intend to form a contract with anyone right now," the Beast King said. "Besides, I have my clansmen. As their king, I can't abandon them. And you can't contract so many spirit beasts, right?" "Yes, you're right. I can't form a contract with many spirit beasts right now," Sima Yue said, "but if you follow me, I can bring your people with me. I'll bring you all to see the outside world." "You can take everyone away?" The Beast King looked at Sima Yue and wondered if her words were true. Sima Yue said with certainty, "You were able to become a Beast King, which means that your strength is much higher. In the future, you will reach that level before your clansmen. When the time comes and you leave, what will your clansmen do? Are you willing to be separated from them? But if you follow me, I can bring your clansmen. When the time comes to the world above, if they really want to leave, I can let them leave." The Beast King was tempted by Sima Yue's words. Her conditions were exactly what he wanted. He did not want to stay in the mountains forever, nor did he want to be separated from his people. "But, you can't form a contract with me." The Beast King said, "You can't form a contract with a spirit beast that hasn't been tamed, right?" "Who says I can't?" Sima Yue said, "Since I'm a beast tamer, I can tame it. I am a divine beast, ordinary beast tamers cannot tame me." The Beast King said, "Little Rock." Sima Yue called out to Little Rock. Little Rock immediately released his divine beast aura. A divine beast? The Beast King finally realized that the little bird on Sima Yue's shoulder was actually a divine beast. "That's right." Sima Yue was furious. "So, do you believe that I can tame you now?" The Beast King fell silent again. After a while, he raised his head and asked, "If I follow you, how will you take away my clansmen?" "I have a place where they can live. I can say with certainty that the environment there is several times better than here. If you live there, your tribe's strength will grow faster." Sima Yue said, "How can I trust you? I can swear an oath." The Beast King looked into Sima Yue's eyes and saw that she was not lying. He believed her and said, "All right, I will follow you. I hope you will not disappoint me." "Don't worry." Sima Yue smiled. After that, she let Little Roar reopen the enchantment and went in herself. She let Little Roar and Little Rock guard her as she began to tame the Beast King. "Relax a little. Don't resist me," Sima Yue comforted the Beast King as she tamed it. Bei Gong Tang and the others looked at each other and were speechless. Was this really a divine beast? How could it be so easily swayed by Sima Yue with just a few words? Actually, what they did not know was that after Sima Yue formed a contract with the Spirit Pagoda, her spirit had different degrees of affinity with others. As long as she was willing to get close to someone, there was basically no chance of failure. Even Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang, who were initially 1,000 miles away from others, didn't they still walk together with everyone in the end? Moreover, although her words were simple, her attitude was very sincere, making it easy for people to believe her. Furthermore, her promises were made using negotiation techniques from her previous life. Every point struck at its heart, making it unable to resist the temptation. If it had been someone else today, it probably wouldn't have had such an effect. Not to mention the contract, they might have been slapped flat by the Beast King right from the start. However, they could not be jealous of her. As for her achievements, they saw more of her hard work. Furthermore, she had helped them a lot. Sima Yue spent half a day taming the Beast King. Because they still had to pick up those spirit beasts, they had no choice but to delay their departure by 2 days. After forming the contract, the Beast King rose a level and became a 5th-level divine beast. Its strength was about the same as a 1st-level spirit paragon. It's actually a 4th-level divine beast. No wonder it took so long to tame. Wei Ziqi looked at the Beast King's grade and smiled as he sighed. Yoyue's beast taming ability is getting stronger and stronger. Bei Gong Tang said, "Yeah, that abnormal mental strength of hers. There's no way around it. I think that even a divine paragon might not be able to compete with her." Wei Ziqi said enviously, "Don't be envious of Yue. She's just an abnormal person." Fatty Chu took out a spirit fruit and took 2 bites, saying, "Think about it this way. If we compare our mental strength to the outside world, it's also an abnormal existence." Bei Gong Tang also nodded, agreeing, "That's right. Think about how much stronger your mental strength has become in these 2 years. You couldn't even tame a saint beast before, but now you can already tame a high-level saint beast? You've risen by a whole big grade. This is also because Yue taught us how to raise our mental strength." Wei Ziqi looked gratefully at Sima Yue, who was currently leveling up. Every time they saw Sima Yue's grade, they would be shocked. Although everyone cultivated together and found spirit beasts to fight, Sima Yue's growth was faster than theirs. Furthermore, she did not lag behind in alchemy or beast taming. From Spirit Master to Great Spirit Master to Spirit King, they felt that they were already heaven-defying existences. However, Yue this brat was leveling up as fast as drinking water. Before coming here, she was a Spirit Master. Now, she had already surpassed them by a lot. If they knew that she had already become an Array Master, they would probably not be able to accept it. Sima Yue had said before that she was now like a sponge. She had to crazily absorb everything in order to become stronger as soon as possible. After a while, the light of leveling up finally dissipated. Sima Yue looked at the Beast King and said, "Let's go and pick up your clansmen now. I never thought that I would be able to level up after forming a contract with you. I've been stuck at 4th-level Divine Beast for a long time and couldn't grow any stronger." The Beast King transformed into his human form and said happily as he walked in front of Sima Yue, "That's not all." Sima Yue said, "I just leveled up. Yaguang and the others also received feedback. When I level up in the future, you will also receive feedback. Your strength will increase even faster." "I've never heard of a contract having such an effect." The Beast King said excitedly, "If there are any clansmen who are willing to form a contract with you, I'll let them find you to tame them." "No problem." Sima Yue said. "Taming her would also give her spiritual power. It would be beneficial for her." "Right, what's your name? Are you from the Fox clan?" The Beast King shook his head and said, "I'm not an ordinary fox." Chapter 161. Not an ordinary fox? Sima Yue picked up the fox with both hands and looked left and right, saying, "I don't see anything different about you." The Beast King jumped down, shook his body, and returned to his original form. A huge fox appeared in front of everyone. Following that, its tail turned from 1 tail to 2, then 3, 4. It only stopped when it turned into 7 tails. 7-tailed spirit fox. Looking at its 7 long tails, the 5 of them widened their eyes. Then, Fatty Chu and the rest turned their gazes towards Sima Yue. How could this fellow's luck be so good? Even a random spirit beast that he contracted had the bloodline of an ancient divine beast. Not only that, we 7-tailed spirit foxes have the bloodline of the 9-tailed spirit fox. Once my bloodline is activated, it is not impossible for me to become a 9-tailed spirit fox, the Beast King continued. Sima Yue was also surprised. She did not expect to encounter a 7-tailed spiritual fox. Ahem, what's your name? It took her a long time to find her voice. 1,000 Resonance. It sounds like a girl's name. Little Roar muttered at the side. Don't think that I won't dare to hit you just because we share the same master. 1,000 Resonance's gaze towards Little Roar was still unkind. Come on. Little Roar laid on Sima Yue's shoulder and stuck his tongue out at 1,000 Resonance. Since they are all my beasts, I can't be biased. 1,000 Resonance, you have to take it easy. Sima Yue grabbed Little Roar and threw him towards 1,000 Resonance. Previously, Little Roar was one of his own people. Even if he had no reason to, he would still help him. Now that both of them were her beasts, it had turned into an internal conflict. She didn't want to side with anyone. Of course, when 1,000 Resonance said that he wanted to beat Little Roar up, it was just for show. He wouldn't really want to kill Little Roar like before. Sima Yue watched as 1,000 Resonance chased after Little Roar and beat him up before bringing him into the Spirit Pagoda. 1,000 Resonance liked the environment inside the Spirit Pagoda the moment it arrived. It knew that Sima Yue planned to arrange for its people to stay here. It was a good arrangement to be able to follow it in the future. Satisfied, it brought Sima Yue and the rest to its territory. When they arrived, Yue realized that not all of them were 7-tailed foxes. Many of them were 3-tailed, 4-tailed, or 5-tailed foxes. She asked 1,000 Resonance and found out that the higher the bloodline, the more tails one would have. It was the only 7 tails, no wonder it was their king. Knowing that their king had formed a contract with a human, the Spirit Fox clan was in an uproar. Many spirit beasts were against this. Sima Yue didn't care about their reactions. She left this matter to 1,000 Resonance and started to look around. It seemed like the matter this time was more difficult to handle. Sima Yue had almost walked through the entire mountain before 1,000 Resonance sent her a telepathic message, telling her that it was settled. She brought Wei Ziqi and the rest back. She did not know what 1,000 Resonance said to them, but those who were previously very resistant were now not as resistant when they saw Sima Yue. Master, I have already spoken to them. Everyone will leave with you. 1,000 Resonance said, and even if they leave in the future, they promise not to reveal your secret. However, I believe that once they go to the Spirit Pagoda, they will not want to leave. Alright, then you guys see if there's anything you want to pack today. We'll leave tomorrow. Sima Yue said. It was quite far from the place they left. Furthermore, they had to pass through several territories of other spirit beasts. It was almost dark now, so it wasn't suitable for them to hurry. Little Roar had been beaten up by 1,000 Resonance. He had been lying in Sima Yue's embrace the entire day, letting her hug him as a punishment for abandoning him. Now that he heard that they were going to pack things, this fellow became energetic again. He flew onto 1,000 Resonance's back and said, "Brother, let's go. Let's go together." 1,000 Resonance couldn't help but roll his eyes. However, he still brought him to instruct his clansmen to move. On the morning of the second day, Sima Yue kept all the spirit foxes into the Spirit Pagoda. Just as 1,000 Resonance said, they liked the environment inside the Spirit Pagoda very much. Even the few spirit beasts that had some complaints before didn't have any complaints. Actually, in the entire Spirit Fox clan, there were only 30 to 40 spirit beasts in total. There were a total of 6 spirit beasts, 10 saint beasts, and the rest were all low-level spirit beasts. However, the low-level spirit beasts were usually young spirit foxes. Their strength had not increased yet. After rushing for an entire day, they arrived at their previous location. Thinking that they weren't familiar with the situation outside, Sima Yue and the rest waited until the next morning before letting Little Roar open the enchantment and went out. When they went out, 1,000 resonance followed them. When he crossed the enchantment, he turned around and looked at the continuous mountain range. He didn't speak for a long time. Sima Yue stood beside 1,000 resonance. She knew that he was feeling a little complicated. She leaned over and patted his head, saying, "In the future, the sky is high and the sea is wide and the sea is wide. Since you're out, you should look forward." And 1,000 resonance nodded and followed Sima Yue and the rest into the mountain. After leaving the enchantment, they felt that the spirit chi outside was denser than inside. It seemed that the enchantment had not only trapped them inside, it had also thinned out the spirit chi inside. I feel like I've been released." Fatty Chu took a deep breath and said with a smile, "Yue, there's still a year's time to the date we agreed on. Are we going directly or what?" Bei Gong Tang asked. "Ouyang, do you know the Sima family?" Sima Yu asked. Ouyang Fei shook his head, saying, "At least in South Yu, there isn't a large family with the surname Sima." "Then we still have to search for a while." Sima Yue said, "Then we'll go directly. Along the way, we'll see if we can meet any spirit beasts to train. We won't stay in the mountain to train. How about it?" "All right, we don't have a problem," Fatty Chu said. "We'll listen to you now. You can arrange it," Wei Ziqi said. Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Fei. Seeing that he had no objections, she said, "Then it's decided. We'll go directly now. 1,000 resonance, Little Roar, both of you retract your pressure." "Yes, master." 1,000 resonance and Little Roar kept their auras. Sima Yue and the rest then went on their way. It was said that their current location was not the center of Sophia Mountain Range. The real center had existences like sacred beasts. But that was not something they could touch now. So when they walked, they took a detour under Ouyang Fei's guidance. But even so, they met many sacred beasts along the way. Some did not have much of a reaction to them, while some chased them over a few mountains. For example, right now, there was a brown bear that chased them for a long time before giving up. Damn, it chased so fiercely that it caused this young master's shoe to fall off. Fatty Chu saw that he had lost a shoe on his foot and scolded angrily. Everyone then realized that Fatty Chu was wearing a shoe on one foot and was barefoot on the other. They could not help but laugh. Chapter 162. Book title, Zhang is so stupid, are you a pig? By Screw Your Grandpa Bear. There will be a day when this grandpa will chase you all over the mountains and break your bare paws. Fatty Chu scolded as he took out a pair of shoes from his spatial ring and changed into them. Because they were being chased just now, everyone and I panicked and didn't know where to go. Now, they had already deviated from their original direction. Ouyang Fei took out something similar to a compass and looked at the needle on it. He pointed to the southeast direction and said, "This way." They continued to walk in the direction that Ouyang Fei had pointed out. It had been a month since they left the land of exile, but they were still walking in circles in the mountains. However, according to what Ouyang Fei had said, this place was not far from the outside. Perhaps they would soon encounter people who would come here to train and hunt for treasures. After 2 days, they met their first human. Back in the Sophia Mountain Range, Sima Yue had taught them how to hide their presence so that the spirit beasts would not discover them. This was a prerequisite for every mission she went on in her previous life. Everyone's talent was pretty good, and they had basically mastered it to the point of perfection. "Something's happening." Sima Yue suddenly stopped and gestured to everyone. Wei Ziqi looked at their surroundings and pointed to the large tree beside him. The others immediately understood, and with a light tap of their feet, they flew into the dense foliage and observed the situation below through the gaps. After a while, a young man ran over with his spiritual pet. He seemed to be very tired. He leaned on the trunk of a big tree and gasped for breath. "Master, the scent of the purple fox is gone." The man's spirit beast sniffed around and said. When the man heard this, he immediately exploded and slapped the head of his spirit beast. "You lost him? You're so stupid. Are you a pig?" The spirit beast immediately looked at its master with an aggrieved expression. Master, I'm a pig. Even if you're a pig, you shouldn't be so stupid. The man held his forehead as if he couldn't bear to look at her. When Fatty Chu heard the conversation between the man and beast, he could not help but laugh. Who is it? The man looked up and saw several people standing on the tree. When did these people go up? Why didn't he feel it before? If he hadn't been looking up from under the tree, he might not have noticed them. Seeing that they had been discovered, Sima Yue and the rest jumped down and looked at the man and beast. The man's face and eyes clear, he didn't look like a bad person. Judging from the conversation between him and his spirit beast just now, this person seemed to be the type with a screw loose. The male was also sizing up Sima Yu and the others. He didn't look nervous when he saw a stranger. Who are you guys? Why are you eavesdropping on us? The man asked. We were just passing by and heard some movement. In order to avoid trouble, we went up the tree. Fatty Chu said, Brother, what kind of spirit beast is this? Yue, tease Yue, of Yue, of Yu. Sima, you didn't think that such an unremarkable pig would actually be the world's rare red three-eyed pig. She looked carefully and saw that there was a thin slit on its forehead. It should be the third eye that was closed. I am Wei Ziqi, how should I address this brother? Wei Ziqi cupped his hands and asked the man. Our names all have the word Qi. The man said, I am Bai Yun Qi, a member of the Sandgull Mercenary Group. Sandgull Mercenary Group? Wei Ziqi smiled and said, So it's a mercenary group. Are you guys here on a mission? That's right. Bai Yun Qi nodded. You guys don't know about the Sandgull Mercenary Group. You guys aren't from the West Moon Kingdom? They knew that this was the West Moon Kingdom's territory because Ouyang Fei had come from the South Yu Kingdom to the West Moon Kingdom before crossing the Sophia Mountain Range to the Dongchen Kingdom. We are indeed not from the West Moon Kingdom. But how did you guess that? Wei Ziqi asked. We, the Sandgull Mercenary Group, are one of the 3 largest mercenary groups in the West Moon Kingdom. But you guys didn't react at all when you heard us, so you definitely aren't from the West Moon Kingdom. Bai Yunqi said, If you aren't from the West Moon Kingdom, then how did you get here? Which kingdom are you from? We are from the Dongchen Kingdom. Wei Ziqi replied. Oh, so you're from the Dongchen Kingdom. Bai Yun Fei nodded his head. Only then did he realize what was going on. Looking at them in surprise, he said, You guys are from the Dongchen Kingdom? You guys came from the western lands of exile? Wei Ziqi nodded his head. Didn't you say that you can't come out until you're a spirit king? Are you all spirit kings? Bai Yun Fei looked at the group of people who were younger than him and felt quite shocked. No, we're not spirit kings. Wei Ziqi said, We're just lucky that we're here. Bai Yun Fei let out an expression of understanding and nodded his head in relief. Like I said, my talent is already abnormal. How could there be anyone more abnormal than me? Sima Yue and the others looked at him speechlessly. What kind of personality did this guy have? How could there be such a narcissistic person? Bai Yunqi didn't seem to feel what they were thinking and continued to speak, but it wasn't easy for you guys to come out of that place. You didn't get torn to shreds by the mythological beasts, your luck was pretty good. Brother Bai, we'd like to ask, is there a Sima family in the West Moon Kingdom? Sima Yue asked. Sima family? There is a Sima family in our headquarters in P City. Bai Yunqi said, What, are you looking for the Sima family? Yes, there's something I need to find them for. Sima Yue said. That Sima family isn't anything good, what are you looking for them for? Bai Yunqi looked at Sima Yue and asked. They captured my family, so I want to save them. Sima Yue said. They didn't think that they'd hear about the Sima family's whereabouts so soon after coming out. This made everyone feel a little relieved. Capture people? This does seem like something the Sima family would do. Bai Yunqi said, but even if you guys go, I'm afraid you won't be able to save your family. Although that Sima family is a bunch of beasts, their strength is not bad. They have a few spirit emperors and even a spirit paragon. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare to be so arrogant in this area. I naturally understand this, but that won't stop me. Sima Yue said firmly. Sigh, Since it's like this, if you guys aren't in a hurry, then wait for us to finish our mission. Then I'll bring you guys to Peace City. Bai Yunqi said as he admired Sima Yoyue's character of not caring about the dangers ahead for her family. There's no need to trouble you. You just have to tell us how to get to Peace City and we'll use the teleportation array ourselves. Sima Yoyue declined. Bai Yunqi shook his head, saying, if you guys go by yourselves, you won't be able to use the teleportation array. Chapter 163. Why? Sima Yoyue did not understand and asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Because you don't have any identification. Bai Yunqi said, to use the transportation array here, you need to show proof of identity. If you don't have one, you need to go to the city's Spirit Master Guild to open one. The people outside the land of exile were, They didn't like the people from the land of exile. If they knew that they were from the land of exile, they might do something. If you follow me, there won't be a problem. You're a universal identity? Fatty Chu asked. The members of the mercenary group don't need to prove themselves one by one to use the teleportation array. When the time comes, you can just follow the members of our mercenary group. Bai Yunqi said. Sima Yoyue was reminded of her previous life, where she had to bring her ID card whenever she went out. She looked at the others and saw that they didn't care about her. She replied, since that's the case, we'll follow you first. But won't this disturb you? It doesn't matter. We're here to carry out our mission anyway. We're almost there now. We just need to get the purple fox. Speaking of the purple fox, everyone recalled the conversation between him and the red three-eyed pig, and they couldn't help but laugh. Bai Yunqi knew what Sima Yoyue and the others were thinking. He scratched the back of his head and said embarrassedly, since we don't know where that purple fox went, I'll bring you guys to our campsite first. All right. Bai Yunqi led them towards the camp. On the way, they discovered something. This fellow's cultivation talent was extremely high, but he really had no sense of direction. His sense of direction was completely dependent on that red three-eyed pig. So besides being a hunting dog, this red three-eyed pig was also a guide dog? Everyone looked at it sympathetically when they met its owner. After walking for half a day, they arrived at a spacious area. There were more than a dozen tents set up in the middle of the trees. Seeing Bai Yunqi appear, the Sangol mercenaries all gathered around. A middle-aged man walked over and patted Bai Yunqi's shoulder. Young master, where did you go by yourself? Everyone is worried to death. Sima Yoyue and the rest looked at Bai Yunqi in surprise. They did not expect him to be the young master of the Sangol mercenary group. Bai Yunfei looked at everyone embarrassedly, saying, Uncle Li, I was walking around nearby and saw a purple fox, so I chased after it. How could you chase after them by yourself? Li Kuei gave Bai Yunfei a disapproving look. What if you run into a mythological beast? What if we can't find the way and walk further and further away? Didn't I come back? Bai Yunqi rubbed his head. And I even brought someone back with me. That's right, let me introduce you. These are the friends I met in the mountains. This is Sima Yoyue, Wei Ziqi, Fatty Chu, Ouyang Fei, and this beauty is Bei Gong Tang. Sima Yoyue? Are you from the Sima family? Li Kuei looked at Sima Yoyue with an unfriendly gaze. Oh no. Bai Yunqi hurriedly explained, Yoyue and the others came from Dongqin Kingdom. They are not from the Sima family. Sima Yoyue and the others thought that everyone would roll their eyes when they said that they were from Dongqin Kingdom, but they never thought that everyone's expressions would change. As long as they are not from the Sima family. Li Kuei said. It looked like everyone had a lot of opinions about the Sima family. Yoyue, this is Uncle Li. Bai Yunqi pointed to Li Kuei and said, he is the strongest person here. Uncle Li, Sima Yoyue and the others followed Bai Yunqi and called out. You guys can look around. Uncle Li said to them, then pulled Bai Yunqi over, saying, Young master, I have some things to report to you. Bai Yunqi said to Sima Yoyue and the others, Yoyue, Ziqi, you guys can look around. I'll be back soon. Sima Yoyue nodded. The five of them were strangers, so Li Kuei would definitely pull Bai Yunqi over to clarify things. As expected, after a while, Li Kuei and Bai Yunqi walked over and said to them, Young Master Wei, We still have some unfinished business. You guys can wait here for a few days. Do you have any tents? If not, you can only squeeze with everyone. Uncle Lee, you don't have to worry. I brought my own tents. Wei Ziqi said with a smile. Let's go, I'll bring you guys to set up your tents. Bai Yunqi walked over and put his arm around Wei Ziqi's shoulder as they walked towards the empty space. Sima Yue and the others nodded at Li Kuei and followed along. A man walked over and looked at Sima Yue and the others, saying, Uncle Li, is it all right to let these people stay in the group? Young master wants to help them, so let him be. Anyway, even if these people have any intentions, they can't do anything. Li Kuei said. But, could they be people sent by the other side to gather information? You mean the domineering mercenary group? Li Kuei said. Their strength is not very strong, so how could they cross the Sophia mountain range? Coming from Dongchen country, the dangers along the way are self-evident, but these people don't seem to have any injuries, so I think they might be lying. The man guessed. That's possible. Li Kuei said, according to what I know, the domineering mercenary group has also accepted this mission. If we complete it before them, then their hard work over the past few months would have been wasted. Keep an eye on them and see if they have any bad intentions. Yes, Uncle Li. Sima Yue and the others were setting up their tents as they listened to Bai Yunqi talk about this mission. Only then did they know that they had already stayed in Sophia Mountain Range for a few months for this mission. Purple fox blood, mannet root, western gourd. Is someone injured? Sima Yue asked. How did you know? Bai Yunqi looked curiously at Sima Yue. The things you found are all ingredients used to refine the blood-invigorating pill, so I think someone should be injured. Sima Yue explained. Hey Yue, are you also an alchemist? Bai Yunqi asked as he looked at Sima Yue in shock. I know a little bit. Sima Yue said. You're right. This mission was issued by the city lord of Peace City. He didn't say who it was, but we received bad news that someone was indeed injured. Bai Yunqi said, the revenge reward for this mission is extremely generous, so there are many mercenary groups who accepted this mission. Just like us, the 3 great mercenary groups, all of us have been mobilized. Who else from the 3 great mercenary groups besides you guys? Fatty Chu asked. The Flying Dragon Mercenary Group and the Domineering Mercenary Group. Bai Yunqi said, that's right, since you're here, don't walk around casually. If you meet the Domineering Mercenary Group, don't say that you're with us. Because our 2 mercenary groups have a deep grudge. Basically, we fight whenever we meet. If you let them know that you're with us, I'm afraid that they'll take their anger out on you. Bai Yunqi explained. Is it because we usually fight for missions? Wei Ziqi asked. Domineering Mercenary Group. Just hearing this name made people dislike them. Who knew what kind of mercenary group would have such a name? Chapter 164. If it's just about snatching missions, then there are no mercenary groups with good relationships in the mercenary world. Bai Yunqi said, we just can't stand seeing them use unscrupulous methods in order to complete their missions. Moreover, they always like to rely on the fact that they're stronger than others to snatch missions from small mercenary groups. It's really unpleasant to look at. This mercenary group's character isn't good, Fatty Chu said. It's not just bad. Anyway, every time I see them, they fight. Bai Yunqi said, however, I heard that the people they sent this time are stronger than us. Even if I were to meet them alone, I would still have to avoid them. Otherwise, if I get killed by them, my father and the others won't be able to settle the score with them. So if you meet him, don't say that you're with me. And we understand. Wei Ziqi replied. After setting up the tent, Sima Yue and the rest chatted with the mercenary group for a while. Fatty Chu then said that he wanted to eat and was laughed at by the mercenary group. Fatty Chu saw that Bai Yunqi was also laughing and said, Brother Bai, if you're laughing now, don't eat later. Big brother, what haven't I eaten before? Why would I be envious of your food? Bai Yunqi said with a smile. Hee, let's see if you'll still say that when the time comes. Fatty Chu said. After he finished speaking, he looked expectantly at Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang. Sima Yue kicked him. If you want to eat, do it yourself. Don't look for us. This hand of mine is only good at forging. How can I eat good food? Bei Gong, don't you agree? I didn't hear anything. Bei Gong Tang smiled and turned her face to the side. Yue, you haven't cooked for a month. Now that you finally have time, please cook. Fatty Chu begged. Look, I've lost a lot of weight recently. I don't even have any meat on my stomach. Piff, you only know how to eat. Sima Yue glared at Fatty Chu. Alright, he really couldn't be considered a fatty anymore. Although Sima Yue said that, she still took out some food and prepared to cook. There were many people tonight, so she planned to make some barbecue so that everyone could work together. The spirit beasts that they were eating were the ones that they had killed before. Moreover, they were all prepared by Little Spirit and sliced into pieces. Are you going to make barbecue? Bai Yunqi asked when he saw Sima Yue and the others. Yeah, Yue's barbecue is delicious. Fatty Chu squatted beside Bai Yunqi, looking at the raw meat as if he was looking at plates of cooked delicacies. Who hasn't eaten barbecued meat before? The taste is just that. Bai Yunqi said disapprovingly. Hee, you'll know when the time comes. When Sima Yue took out the prepared grill, Bai Yunqi started to believe Fatty Chu's words. He had never seen such a grill before. Usually, everyone would just skewer them and roast them over the fire. No one had ever roasted them like this before. Bei Gong Tang had learnt quite a bit from Sima Yue these 2 years, so the taste of the food she made was not bad. Very quickly, the fragrance of the barbecued meat wafted out. When the mercenaries smelled the fragrance, they all gathered over. After that, they all forgot about laughing at Fatty Chu and started to eat. Sima Yue and the two of them roasted meat, but it was not enough for so many people. Thus, she took out a few more grills and let everyone roast it themselves. These grills were all made by Fatty Chu according to Sima Yue's instructions. At that time, no one thought that Fatty Chu would really become a weapon refiner. After all, his personality was too different from a weapon refiner. However, they did not think that he would be so talented in weapon refiner. Although he was usually carefree once he started refining weapons, it was as if his soul had changed. He became steady and meticulous, and really became a weapon refiner. Although he was still unable to refine a high-grade spirit weapon, he could still make a barbecue grill. In the beginning, Bai Yunqi was still laughing at Fatty Chu. However, once he ate the barbecued meat that Sima Yue made, he could not stop. Seeing so many people coming over to eat, he chased them to one side and used the grill that Sima Yue had prepared to roast the meat himself. Those people could only helplessly do it themselves. Sima Yue and the rest taught those people at the beginning. When they got the hang of it, they did not bother with them. She and Bei Gong Tang made a little more and went to one side to eat. Bai Yunqi came over and took 2 more skewers. After that, he casually laid down on the ground behind him and patted his stomach, saying, "Oh, I haven't eaten so much in a long time." Fatty Chu sat beside him and said, "How is it? Not bad, right?" "It's not just not bad." Bai Yunqi said, "This is the best barbecued meat I've ever eaten in my life." After eating and drinking to their fill, the mercenaries went back to rest. Because the terrain was limited, they squeezed a few people into one tent. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang cleaned up the mess and also went to rest. Perhaps it was because of that barbecued meat that everyone became closer. The mercenaries were all smiling when they saw them the next day. They were probably all wondering when she would cook again. Li Kuei brought a portion of them out early in the morning to search for Zihu's whereabouts. The remaining people were on standby at the campsite. Bai Yunqi brought Sima Yue and the rest to wander around nearby. He also told them a few things about the West Moon Kingdom at the same time. Sima Yue and the rest also listened attentively. Unknowingly, they were getting further and further away from the campsite. Zihu! Bai Yunqi suddenly shouted and chased after her. He even called out the red 3-eyed pig and said, "Hong Hong, if you lose her again today, I'll make you into a roasted suckling pig." Everyone saw a purple figure flash past in front of their eyes. After that, Bai Yunqi had already chased after her. The 5 of them were helpless and could only follow him. "Little fox, don't run." I won't take your life. I just want to borrow a bit of your blood. Don't run. Bai Yunqi shouted as he ran. The few people who were following behind almost stumbled and fell. It would be strange if she didn't run when you shouted that you wanted to take her blood. The 6 people and 1 beast chased further and further away. The campsite and whatnot had long disappeared. Squeak, squeak. Suddenly, Zihu's sharp cry came from the front. It seemed to be injured. Sima Yue and the rest hurried over. Before they even got close, they heard a burst of laughter. Ha! I didn't think that Zihu would send herself to our doorstep. Captain, this Zihu really dropped from the sky. Once we catch this Zihu, our mission will be considered complete. Huh, not bad. Captain, are we going back now? Go back? No, wait a little longer. Wait until we take care of those people. Sima Yue and the rest turned a corner and saw a few people waiting in front. They were holding a Zihu in their hands and looking at them with evil smiles. Qin Wu. Seeing the people in the middle, Bai Yunqi's expression turned ugly. Who are they? Fatty Chu asked softly. Qin Wu of the domineering mercenary group, a spirit overlord expert. Bai Yunqi said with a solemn face. Chapter 165. Looks like my luck today is not bad. Not only did I get the purple fox, I also got an unexpected surprise. Qin Wu saw that there were only Bai Yunqi and the 5 people he had never seen before, and he was secretly happy. If he could kill Bai Yunqi, it would definitely greatly damage the morale of the Sangol mercenary group. It would also cause his father to be unable to recover from this setback. Who asked him to be the only child? Qin Wu, they are not part of the mercenary group. Let them leave. When Bai Yunqi saw the killing intent in Qin Wu's eyes, he knew that today was a bad day. He subconsciously stood in front and protected Sima Yue and the rest. Sima Yue and the rest noticed his actions and looked at each other without saying a word. Little Bai, should I say that you're naive or stupid? Qin Wu sneered. You want them to leave so you can report to Li Kuei? Since you're here, then stay. With that, he waved his hand and the members of the domineering mercenary group surrounded them. Qin Wu, have you thought about the consequences of your actions? Bai Yunqi yelled. If my father finds out that you've made a move against me, be careful that he'll bring people to destroy your mercenary group. Oh, you've brought your father out. Your fiery father is indeed troublesome, so all the more we can't let them leave today. If they told others about what happened today, it would be a big problem. Smart people will nip trouble in the cradle. Qin Wu said. Bai Yunqi took out his weapon and said to Sima Yue and the others, in a while, I'll try my best to delay them. You guys aren't strong enough, so don't fight them head-on. Find an opportunity to run. Do you understand? Then what about you? Fatty Chu asked. If you guys are able to escape, just tell Uncle Li and the others to avenge me. Bai Yunqi said, in a while, remember to escape according to the situation. Although Bai Yunqi looked down on their strength and made them speechless, Sima Yue and the others still took out their weapons. Since we came together, let's go back together. Sima Yue said, of course, that includes the purple fox. Hearing Sima Yue's words, Qin Wu laughed out loud as if he had heard a funny joke. Captain, these people are saying that they want to leave together? I think we should send them to hell as soon as possible. A yellow-haired man said with a smile. Bai Yunqi turned around and saw that everyone had taken out their weapons. He said, I'm very happy that you think this way. However, we've only known each other for a day. There's no need for you to throw your lives away for me. Then why are you willing to risk your life to let us leave? Wei Ziqi asked. Bai Yunqi was stunned by the question, then said, I didn't want to implicate you guys. Team leader, this girl looks pretty good. Why don't we leave her behind to have some fun before killing her? A short and wretched man looked at Bei Gong Tang lecherously as he spoke. Why don't we just attack? Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei were both warlike people, and the way these people looked at them made them very uncomfortable. You actually dare to say such words to our goddess. That's enough for you to die. After Fatty Chu finished speaking, he raised his fist and punched towards the vulgar man. Second-grade spiritual king? Che, this young master? Ah, That man did not even put Fatty Chu in his eyes. However, he did not expect Fatty Chu to appear in front of him in a blink of an eye and punch him in the head, knocking him unconscious. When Bai Yunqi saw this, he knew that if he did not get rid of them today, Sima Yue and the others would not be able to escape. He said helplessly, "That Qin Wu is a 5th grade spiritual overlord. I'm only a 3rd grade spiritual overlord. However, I can still delay for a while. You guys go and get rid of the others first, then come and help me." 5th grade spiritual overlord? Sima Yue looked at Qin Wu and said, "Isn't he just a 5th grade spiritual overlord? I even thought that he had 1 foot in the spiritual saint rank. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant?" Arrogant brat. Qin Wu was very unhappy that Sima Yue looked down on him. Sima Yue kept her weapon and clasped her hands together as she cracked her knuckles. Her face was full of excitement. "I've fought so many monsters, but I've never fought with a human expert before. TSK, today's a good day for me to practice." "Yue, can you beat him?" Bai Yunqi looked at Sima Yue and was shocked by her words. "I've never fought with a spiritual overlord before," Sima Yue said honestly. However, she had fought with quite a few sacred beasts. "Then what's your rank?" Bai Yunqi asked again. 1st grade spiritual overlord," Sima Yue said vaguely. Her rank could not be compared to Qin Wu's, but her battle prowess was not limited to that. 1st grade spiritual overlord? Bai Yunqi was shocked by Sima Yue's words. He did not think that she would be able to catch up to him at such a young age. Although your innate talent is not bad, when it comes to cultivation, there is an insurmountable gap between each level. Your rank is lower than mine, and compared to that old thief, you're 4 levels lower. You should go with Ziqi and the others. Wei Ziqi pulled Bai Yunqi over and said, "If Yue wants to play, then let her play. First, come with us to take care of these people, then watch her play." But, before Bai Yunqi could say anything, Sima Yue had already started attacking Qin Wu, while Wei Ziqi and the others also started fighting with the others. Damn, what's going on? When he saw that Sima Yue and Qin Wu had left, he turned around and saw that Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang had already taken care of 1 person each. Fatty Chu had also taken care of 1 person until he was dizzy and had completely lost his battle strength. These people clearly did not look very strong, but how could their battle strength be so abnormal? Furthermore, no matter if it was a close combat or a battle of spiritual power, every move they made was targeted and did not waste a single bit of energy. This was clearly the result of a long period of training. Seeing that they were fighting with such vigor, his hands also itched and he attacked the person closest to him. From the looks of it, today was not his day of doom, but Qin Wu and the others' day of doom. Very quickly, they took care of the 10 over lackeys, and they did not even suffer any injuries. Seeing the corpses strewn all over the ground, and then looking at the 4 people who did not even have much blood on them, Bai Yunqi felt as if he was in a dream. This was not even a duel, but a complete abuse. On Sima Yue's side, the 2 of them had already fought a few rounds, and Qin Wu no longer looked down on them, and his gaze became more serious. Sima Yue glanced at Wei Ziqi and the others, saying, "Your claws have all been cut off, and now you're only left with your fist." Qin Wu then realized that the domineering army had all been killed, and Wei Ziqi and the others were standing on the ground watching them fight. "Umph, you little brat, you dare to compare yourself to your grandpa Qin Wu? What happened just now was just an appetizer. Now I'll let you experience your grandpa's power," Qin Wu said as he formed a seal with both hands, and it looked like he was going to use a spiritual technique. From what he saw, Sima Yue had such achievements at such a young age, so she must have spent all her time cultivating and definitely did not have so much time to practice spiritual techniques. Use spiritual techniques? Just nice, I can test out the power of the Raging Inferno cut. As she said that, she placed both hands in front of her chest and quickly flipped them over. Chapter 166. Sima Yue had not been practicing spiritual skills for a long time because the book said that one could not practice them before reaching the spiritual king level. Therefore, she waited until she reached the spiritual king level before she started. She hadn't been a spirit king to a spirit master for long. Although it hadn't been long, her technique was quite proficient. It was like moving clouds and flowing water, dazzling people. If the people from the Sima clan were to see this, they would definitely be shocked. The reason why the Raging Inferno Slash was a high-grade profound rank spiritual skill was not only because of its great power, but also because it was quite difficult to learn. The technique was much more complicated than the average spiritual skill, and it was also quite obscure and difficult to connect. Many members of the Sima family were not familiar with the technique, which affected the performance of their spiritual techniques. Qin Wu did not expect Sima Yue to know spiritual techniques, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. I didn't expect you to know spiritual techniques as well. However, you'll soon understand that the difference in levels is insurmountable. Sima Yue sneered, "Is that so? That's a miracle you've never seen. Today, I'll show you how miracles are born." Then, the two of them stopped talking. Soon, the spiritual techniques in their hands were about to take shape. Qin Wu's was a metal-type spiritual technique. More than 10 swords floated in front of him. Under his control, they all pierced towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue took the form of a large blade. It looked a bit like Sima Lai's formation, but the difference in power and size of the blade was too great. But even so, her raging flame slash was almost catching up to Sima Kai's. "Go!" Sima Yue shouted and swung her flaming saber towards Qin Wu's golden sword. When the golden swords came into contact with the flame saber, several of them were chopped into pieces. When Qin Wu saw that his golden sword was actually no match for her flaming saber, his hands continued to form seals, controlling the remaining golden sword to confront the flaming saber. Bai Yunqi, who was watching the battle from below, stared at Sima Yue with his mouth wide open. Even he found it difficult to contend against Qin Wu's strength. However, this fellow, who was one level lower than him, was actually able to deal with him so easily. Furthermore, even though he was standing so far away, he could still feel the heat from her flames. "My God, how can this fellow Yue have such strong battle power?" Fatty Chu laughed. "If you cultivated in the Sophia mountain range for 2 years and fight spirit beasts every day, your battle power would also be this strong." "You've been here for 2 years?" Bai Yunqi looked at Chu's spirits. "No wonder all of you are so powerful." Bai Yunqi sighed. Normally, when people came to the Sophia mountain range, they would look for medicinal herbs in the periphery or catch a few spirit beasts. Even if they came here, they would only come here to carry out a mission. Very few people would come here to train. Moreover, one bag would last for more than 2 years. Although Qin Wu's strength was higher than Sima Yu's by 4 ranks, his spirit skill rank could not compare to hers. Adding on to the fact that her spirit pool had been modified by Crimson Flame, it was much bigger than the average person's and had an abundance of spirit chi. That was why Qin Wu's remaining golden swords were slowly melted by her flames. Qin Wu's. He felt the blood in his throat. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth as he fell to the ground. Sima Yue looked down at Qin Wu. This fellow's battle power was only so. It was different from what she imagined. She thought it would be a fierce battle. She didn't expect to win so easily. "I've lost." Qin Wu's malicious eyes flashed with a cold light. He raised his head and looked at Sima Yu, saying, "If you let me go, we can write off what happened today. I won't bring the domineering army to cause trouble for you." Sima Yue snorted at his words. "I thought you had some brains. I didn't expect you to say something like that. You're already so old. Should I say you're naive or stupid? You're the type to seek revenge. Do you think I'll let you live to cause trouble for me? Smart people will kill trouble in the cradle." Pff. Hearing her words, the spectators all laughed, especially Bai Yunqi. These were the words that Qin Wu had just said to him. Now that she had used them to attack Qin Wu, he felt extremely happy. Qin Wu's face darkened when he heard Sima Yue's words. He suddenly threw a weapon at Sima Yue and quickly retreated. But before he could fly a few meters, he crashed into a long sword. Qin Wu looked at the sword in his heart in disbelief. He then looked at the expressionless Ouyang Fei. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He clearly didn't feel that there was anyone here, so how did someone suddenly appear? Ouyang Fei pulled out his sword. Qin Wu clutched his chest and fell down. Even until his death, he didn't understand how he crashed into a sword. When his master died, his contracted beast that was fighting with the red three-eyed pig also roared and fell to the ground. The red three-eyed pig was fighting excitedly. Seeing its opponent suddenly die, it didn't react for a moment and just stared blankly at the corpse. Bai Yunqi's attention was attracted by the cries of Qin Wu's contracted beast. Seeing that his own pig was still in a daze, he knew what it was thinking. He shouted at it, "The master is dead, so the contracted beast is naturally dead. You can't even understand such a simple thing. Why are you so stupid? Are you a pig?" The red three-eyed pig saw Qin Wu's corpse and heard Bai Yunqi scolding it again. It ran over while whining. "I was originally a pig. You didn't even know this. So stupid, are you a pig?" Pff. Hearing the conversation between the man and beast, the others couldn't help but laugh. Even the expressionless Ouyang Fei who had just killed Qin Wu couldn't help but smile. Fatty Chu and the others landed from 4 different directions. Bai Yunqi then realized that Ouyang Fei and the other 3 had all flown into the sky and occupied 4 different directions. "Weren't you guys talking to me just now? When did you guys fly up?" Bai Yunqi looked at the 4 of them curiously. "When Yue came down, we went up." Wei Ziqi said, "I guess you were too focused on it so you didn't notice." "Was I that focused on it?" Bai Yunqi scratched his neck, a little embarrassed. Wei Ziqi and the others were able to silently appear in 4 different directions because they could quickly restrain their presence. However, he believed that he was too focused on it and didn't notice it. Sima Yue saw that Bai Yunqi was so easily fooled and sighed in her heart that this guy's thoughts were too pure. She walked to a place not far from Qin Wu and grabbed the injured purple fox. She carried it to Bai Yunqi's side and handed it over to him. Before she could say anything, she suddenly looked in the direction they had come from. A few people's footsteps came from that direction, getting closer and closer. Chapter 167. They must have been attracted by the fight just now. If it's domineering army or anyone else, then this matter will be troublesome. Bai Yunqi also heard Azurite's footsteps and said with a frown, "If it was the domineering army, seeing their men killed, a fight would be unavoidable. If it were anyone else, it was hard to guarantee that they wouldn't spread the news, but they couldn't kill everyone who saw it. They weren't the kind of people who were ruthless." Squeak, squeak. The purple fox heard some movement and struggled weakly in Bai Yunqi's hands. Soon, a group of people came around the corner. When they saw who it was, they heaved a sigh of relief. "Young lord." "Uncle Li." Bai Yunqi and Li Kuei cried out at the same time. "Young master, why are you here?" Li Kuei saw Bai Yunqi and the corpses behind them and hurried over. "We chased after Violet Fox and ran into the domineering army." Bai Yunqi said, "Uncle Li, why are you here?" Li Kuei was surprised when he saw Qin Wu's body. He glanced at Sima Yue and the other 4 and answered, "We heard a fight nearby and were worried that it might be one of our men, so we came over to take a look." "Young master, are you all right? This is Qin Wu?" "Uncle Li, we are fine. Qin Wu was killed by Yue and the others." Bai Yunqi gave a simple recount of what had happened. When he learned that Sima Yue was already a spirit grandmaster at such a young age and had even defeated Qin Wu, who was 4 levels higher than her, he was extremely astonished. However, they also believed that they weren't sent by the domineering army because Qin Wu held an important position in the domineering army. Even if they wanted to gain Bai Yunqi's trust, they wouldn't sacrifice Qin Wu. Thinking of this, Li Kuei cupped his fists at Sima Yue and the rest and said gratefully, "Thank you for saving my young master." "Uncle Li, you don't have to be so courteous. We are friends with Yun Qi, and the other party also wants to kill us. We are only trying to protect ourselves." Wei Ziqi waved his hands and said, "Uncle Li, don't be so courteous with them." Bai Yunqi said, "Rather than saying these words, why don't we go back and have a good drink with them? Isn't that right, Zichi? Wei Zichi smiled and nodded, saying, right. Uncle Li, now that we've caught this purple fox, our mission is complete. When are we going back? I really want to have a drink with them right now. Bai Yunqi said as he handed the purple fox over to Li Kuei. It's still early today. We'll go back and gather our men before we leave, Li Kuei said with a smile. But before we leave, we need to do something first. What is it? Bai Yunqi thought for a bit. The quest had already been completed, so what else was there to do? Li Kuei waved his hand, and 2 mercenaries came out. They formed hand seals and conjured flames, burning the corpses of Qin Wu and the others to ashes. Qin Wu's status is extraordinary. If others find out that we killed him, there might be hidden dangers. It's fine now, let's go back, Li Kuei said. Bai Yunqi had an expression of understanding on his face. Sima Yue and the others had already thought of destroying the corpses before leaving, so they weren't surprised to see what Li Kuei and the others had done. Young master, let's go back, Li Kuei said when he saw that the fire was almost gone. Okay, let's go back. After staying in the mountains for 2 months, there's already a layer of mold on our bodies, Bai Yunqi said as he stretched his body. Thinking about how Sima Yue and the others had stayed in the mountains for 2 years, he admired them from the bottom of his heart. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't be able to do it. After returning to the camp, Li Kuei counted the number of people. When everyone returned, they put away their tents and left. There were still a few days' journey from here to the outside of the mountains. They had a lot of people and their strength wasn't weak. Some spirit beasts would avoid them when they saw them, so their journey was very smooth. After a few days, they left the Sophia mountain range. Behind them was a mountain, in front of them was a city, and in the vast plains, they could see a city wall in the distance. Bai Yunqi pointed at the city in front of them and said, Yue, that's the closest city to here, 3 Springs City. Don't think that this city looks so close, but it's actually quite far away. Sima Yue naturally knew that on the plains, the surrounding emptiness would reduce the visual distance. Places that looked very close were actually very far away. This 3 Springs City's city lord is one of my uncles. When we get there, I'll get him to give you an identification card, then you can follow us to Peace City. With the identification card, even if you leave our mercenary group, you won't be troubled anymore. Bai Yunqi said. Fatty Chu punched him on the shoulder and said, How come I didn't hear you mention this before? Bai Yunqi smiled and said, I originally didn't plan on looking for my uncle. If my aunt knew that I came here without greeting her, she would definitely nag me again. Right now, I'm thinking of getting you an identification card, that's why I wanted to look for them. Everyone understood what he meant. Previously, he had only planned on bringing them to Peace City, but after a few days of interaction, he decided to get them an identification card because he had decided on them from the bottom of his heart. Then we'll have to trouble you, Wei Ziqi said courteously. Haha, wait until we get to the city lord's residence. We'll have a good drink. Bai Yunqi saw that they didn't blame him and laughed loudly. Let's go. We have to get to 3 Springs City before sunset. If we close the city gates, we'll have to wait until tomorrow to enter the city, Li Kuei said. Sima Yue remembered that Little Roar was still behind them, so she turned around and whistled towards the Sophia mountain range. This Little Roar, he hasn't come out for so long. Could it be that he went to tease the spirit beasts again? Bai Yunqi thought about how he saw Little Roar teasing the spirit beasts on the way and couldn't help but tease him. Sima Yue thought so too. This Little Roar's perverted heart didn't change even after being beaten up by 1,000 resonants. Wherever he went, he would tease her. As the owner, she was extremely embarrassed, but she was also extremely helpless. After a while, Little Roar's small figure finally came out from the mountains and pounced into Sima Yue's embrace. Sima Yue picked him up by the neck, but before she could scold him, he said, Yu, I didn't go to tease the spirit beast this time. Sima Yue stared at him. You didn't? Then you left for an entire day and only came out after such a long time. What were you doing? I realized that there was something wrong with the spirit beasts in the mountains, so I went around the mountains, Little Roar said. What's wrong? Fatty Chu came over and asked. I realized that for some reason, those spirit beasts have become very violent. Furthermore, the spirit beasts inside are all moving towards the outskirts, and there are quite a few of them. Little Roar said. Hearing his words, Sima Yue and the rest were still a little confused, but Li Kuei and Bai Yunqi's faces became serious. Uncle Li, could it be the beast tide? Bai Yunqi asked worriedly. According to what I know, the beast tide in Three Springs City only passed half a year ago. How could it happen again so quickly? Li Kuei said, no matter what, there's movement in the Sophia mountain range. We should quickly inform your uncle. Chapter 168. The group of people sped up and finally arrived at Three Springs City before sunset. Fatty Chu and the others looked at the majestic city walls and were all shocked. It actually has such a tall city wall. Dongchun Kingdom City Wall is nothing compared to this. Fatty Chu exclaimed. This city wall is probably 100 meters tall? Wei Ziqi raised his head and looked at the top of the city wall. It should be about there. It was Sima Yue's first time seeing such a tall city wall. Thinking of the city walls she had seen before, she felt that they were just child's play. Only Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang were calm. After all, it was not their first time seeing this. Actually, not all city walls are this tall. Bai Yunqi said, because Three Springs City is close to the Sophia mountain range, the spirit beasts here will have a beast tide every few years. That's why the city walls are so tall and thick. Beast tide? Is that what Little Roar said? Fatty Chu asked. I'm not sure this time. Bai Yunqi shook his head and said, in the past, it was very regular. This time, I don't know if the spirit beasts will come from within the Sophia mountain range or if they will come outside. No matter what, we have to inform my uncle first and let him be prepared. Let's enter the city, Li Kuei said. Sima Yue saw that the soldiers guarding the city were already shouting, urging those who had not yet entered the city to quickly enter and close the city gates. Thus, the group of people hurried in. Young master. When Sima Yue and the others entered the city, a man dressed as a manservant rushed in front of Bai Yunqi and hugged him as he cried. Li Si? Aren't you at home being a door god? What are you doing here? Bai Yunqi wanted to push Li Si away, but he hugged him tightly. Young master, you're back. Woo, if you didn't come back, Li Si's butt would have burst open. Li Si hugged Bai Yunqi and howled. What's wrong? Were you punished by my aunt again? Bai Yunqi asked. Madam knew that you went to the Sophia mountain range, so she ordered me to wait here every day. If you didn't come, she wouldn't let me eat. She also said that if you didn't come, you would spank my butt. Li Si cried, Young master, you have to go back with me no matter what. Otherwise, Madam will not forgive me. How did Auntie know that I went to Sophia? Bai Yunqi used all his strength, and finally managed to push Li Si away. Sima Yue finally saw Li Si's face clearly. He had a fair and clean face and looked to be about the same age as them. Young master, are you stupid? How could master and madam not know that you used the teleportation array to come here? Li Si wiped his snot and said, the moment you left, madam knew immediately. So she asked me to wait here every day for you. After waiting for 2 months, you finally came back. Ooh. Young master, you have to go back with me this time. Otherwise, I will run away from home. Sima Yue listened to Li Si's words and looked at the way he interacted with Bai Yunqi. She could tell that his position in the city lord's residence was not as simple as a servant. Bai Yunqi patted Li Si's head and said, Poor darling. This time, I was going to find uncle and the others. I won't run away again. Really? Li Si raised his head, his eyes shining. Let's go. I still have something to tell uncle. Bai Yunqi said. Okay, let's go. Li Si wiped the non-existent tears from the corner of his eyes and turned to leave. This Three Springs City and Yen City were both cities at the edge of the mountain range. However, their sizes were very different. Yen City was not even half the size of Three Springs City. They walked to a corner and there were a few beast carriages there. When they saw Li Si bringing people over, The coachmen all jumped down from the carriages. Greetings, young master. The coachmen all bowed to Bai Yunqi. Bai Yunqi saw the beast carriages and said, "Aunt even prepared these. Since it's like this, Uncle Li, let's take the carriages over." Bai Yunqi and Li Kuei boarded the first carriage and arranged for Sima Yue and the others to sit in the second carriage. The rest of the mercenary group squeezed into the carriages behind. The beast carriage sped off very quickly. Sima Yu and the others pulled open the curtains to take a look. It was only then that they realized that they were speeding along an empty road. Furthermore, the crowd was walking on both sides of the road. There was not a single person in the middle. It seemed that this was similar to the roads and sidewalks in her previous life. The beast carriages ran for about half an hour before stopping. Sima Yue and the others alighted and saw a majestic mansion. Is this the mayor's mansion? It's even bigger than the Dongqin country's imperial palace. Fatty Chu exclaimed when he saw the mayor's mansion. Bai Yunqi walked over and said, "This was built by the previous mayor. My uncle and the others moved in after they came. The inside was not as luxurious as the outside." "Young master, let's go in. Madam and the others are waiting for you." Li Si said, "Let's go." Bai Yunqi said to the few of them. As they walked in, Sima Yue and the others found that the interior was indeed simpler. It was a completely different feeling from the outside. The outside was grand and majestic, but the inside was simple but not simple. The people who passed by all bowed to Bai Yunqi. Bai Yunqi also smiled and greeted everyone. It seemed that he was very familiar with the people here. Li Si brought Bai Yunqi, Li Kuei and Sima Yue to the living room. Another servant brought the rest of the mercenary group to rest. "Young master, please wait a moment. Old master and madam will be here soon." Li Si gave the servant girl a look and the servant girl immediately went out. Soon after, another servant girl came in to serve tea. Sima Yue looked at the decorations in the living room. Other than the necessary tables and chairs, there were 2 stone carvings placed on both sides of the room. There was a plaque hanging above the main seat. On it were the words "Diligent for the people." Sima Yue lowered her head and laughed. Diligent for the people? Why did this remind her of the emperor in her previous life? "You little brat. You actually passed by here and didn't even come to Auntie's place. Are you looking down on your auntie or do you not want to see auntie anymore? Sob sob sob, you little brat with no chance of winning." A clear and crisp female voice was heard. Following that, a figure rushed in from outside and pounced towards Bai Yunqi who was sitting opposite her. Bai Yunqi jumped up from his chair when he heard the voice. When the woman pounced on him, he jumped away, causing the woman to miss. Sun Lili saw that Bai Yunqi had actually run away. She put her hands on her hips and continued to shout at him, "Sob sob sob, little Chi-Chi wants to avoid me now. He doesn't even let me hug him. Sob sob sob, auntie is so sad. Sob sob sob." As she spoke, she pretended to cry in front of everyone. When Bai Yunqi saw that she was doing this again, he couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, "Auntie, don't be like this. There are guests here." "What guests? I don't care. Do you want to come over and let me hug you?" Sun Lili looked at Bai Yunqi. It was as if she wouldn't give up if he didn't agree. Chapter 169. A middle-aged man came in from outside. Bai Yunqi looked at him as if she had seen her savior. She shouted at him, "Uncle, come and talk to Aunt." When Wang Lei came in, he glanced at the people in the room and saw that his wife was having a fit again. He spread his hands at Bai Yunqi and said, "You know your aunt's temper. If you don't let her hug you today, she won't give up." "Auntie." Bai Yunqi glared at Sun Lili helplessly. She closed her eyes tightly when she saw Sun Lili throwing herself at her. "Little Chi-Chi, sob sob sob, you haven't grown up anymore. You're not as cute as you used to be. Sigh, it doesn't feel right when I hug you." After hugging Bai Yunqi, Sun Lili pushed him away in disgust. She then slapped him on the head and roared, "You little brat, you didn't even tell me that you were going to Sophia Mountain Range. Ah, you've got guts, haven't you?" "Auntie, I just don't want you to worry." Bai Yunqi looked at Sun Lili helplessly and whispered in her ear, "Auntie, There are so many friends here. You have to save me some face. At this moment his uncle came to his rescue. He pulled Sun Lily to the main seat and said, "Lily, there are so many people here. It's better for you to sit down." I'll let you off this time." Sun Lily sat down beside Wang Lei and smiled at Sima Yue and the others. "Are you Lil Chi-Chi's friends?" Sima Yue and the rest could not help but laugh when they heard her mention little Chi-Chi for the first time. Now that they heard it again, they still wanted to laugh. "Auntie, these are the friends I met in the Sophia Mountain Range. This is Yue, Ziqi, Fatty, Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang." Bai Yunqi was already immune to the way Sun Lily addressed her. She introduced Sima Yue and the others to her one by one. "You two met in the Sophia Mountain Range?" Sun Lily glanced at them. "I didn't expect that you guys would dare to come to the Sophia Mountain Range at such a young age. You guys are truly heroes." "Madam, you flatter me," Wei Ziqi said on behalf of everyone. "Auntie, they are my saviors," Bai Yunqi said. "Savior?" "Yeah." Bai Yunqi said, "When we met Qin Wu in the mountains, he brought people to kill us. They saved me." "Qin Wu dares to bring people to kill you?" When Sun Lily heard this, she immediately became angry. She stood up and slammed her hand on the table. "This domineering mercenary group is getting more and more daring. When I get back, I'll tell brother-in-law and let him bring people to destroy them." "Sit down first." Wang Lei tugged at her and had her sit down again. Then he looked at Bai Yunqi and said, "Tell me everything in detail." "All right." Bai Yunqi told Sun Lily about what happened that day. Sun Lily's expression only improved when she found out that he wasn't injured. When they heard that Sima Yue had killed Qin Wu, both of them were surprised. "Thank you for saving little Chi-Chi." Sun Lily smiled and said to Sima Yue, "Madam, you're welcome." Sima Yue smiled and replied, "Uncle, this time I came here to ask for your help." Bai Yunqi said, "Ask for my help? What's the matter?" Wang Lei looked at Bai Yunqi. This girl had never asked for his help before. Cough cough, it's like this. Yue and the others came from Dongchen country, so they want to get an identity card in Three Springs City. Bai Yunqi said, "From Dongchen country?" Sun Lily and Wang Lei's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. "That's right." Bai Yunqi said, "Uncle, can you help us get this proof of identity?" Wang Lei said, "I can, but it will take 2 days to get it. Moreover, we need to find a place to hang it." The so-called hanging was actually similar to the previous life. If you hang it in Three Springs City, it means that you are a citizen of Three Springs City. Do we still need to find a place? We can just hang it in our residence. Sun Lily said straightforwardly, "However, it will indeed take 2 days. Why don't you all stay in the city lord's residence for 2 days?" "All right. Uncle Li, why don't we wait for 2 days before leaving?" Bai Yunqi looked at Li Kuei. Li Kuei had not said a word since he came in. At this time, he nodded and said, "Everyone just came back from Sophia Mountain. It's fine to rest here. Moreover, if there's a need, we can help." "Right, I almost forgot about the important matter." Bai Yunqi slapped her forehead and said, "Uncle, when we came out, Yue's contracted beast said that it found that the spirit beasts in Sophia Mountain were more violent. There was also a large group of spirit beasts from the central regions that were migrating to the outer regions. It seemed to be an organized migration, so we thought that it might be a sign of a beast tide." "The spirit beasts are here?" Wang Lei furrowed his brows, "But it's only been half a year since this beast tide. There's still more than 2 years until the next beast tide. Why would it appear now? We also can't be sure if this is an internal matter among the spirit beasts or if it will form a beast tide. After we found out about this situation, we immediately rushed over. We thought that we should let you all know first." Bai Yunqi said. Wang Lei and Sun Lily looked at each other and saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. He stood up and cupped his fists to everyone, saying, "This is a serious matter. I have to arrange for people to investigate. If it's true, I hope that everyone can lend a hand when the time comes. I'll go now. Lily, you take care of everyone. Goodbye." Everyone stood up and watched him leave before returning to their seats. Sun Lily also seemed to be very worried. The aura around her body unknowingly became stronger. It was obvious that the news of the spirit beasts made them very worried. Auntie, don't worry. Maybe those spirit beasts are just jumping around in Sophia Mountain. Bai Yunqi saw that Sun Lily was worried and comforted her. If that's really the case, then that's good. Sun Lily sighed, saying, if that's not the case, then this matter will be troublesome. How troublesome? Fatty Chu asked. In their minds, if the spirit beasts came, then it would be fine to just fight them back. They couldn't understand what they were worried about. Li Kuei opened his mouth and said, you may not have seen a beast tide before. Every time there is a beast tide, over 10,000 spirit beasts will gather. It's not something that these city guards can defend against. Every time before the beast tide, City Lord Wang will send people to invite a large number of spirit masters to help out. If there really are that many spirit beasts, then this must be a very dangerous matter. Fatty Chu looked at Li Kuei in shock. Those spirit masters are willing to come? Of course they are. Bai Yunqi said, every time, the city lord will give those spirit masters generous rewards. Even if those spirit masters aren't willing, they will be willing just because of the rewards. Bai Yunqi's tone wasn't very good. It was obvious that she didn't like those spirit masters who came to help because of the rewards. Not all of them are like that. Sun Lily said, there are also many spirit masters who came with the intention of helping us defend against the beast tide. Speaking up to this point, she paused and looked at Sima Yue and the others, saying, if this really is a beast tide, I hope that you all can stay and help out. Chapter 170. Sima Yue was silent for a moment before saying, Madam, we still have things to do, so we can't stay here for long. If there really is a beast wave in the near future, we will definitely do our best. But if we have to wait for a year or so, then we can't wait that long. What do you need to do? Sun Lily asked. Save them. Sima Yue did not intend to hide the truth. 2 years ago, the Sima family captured my grandfather and brother. I made a 3-year agreement with the people who went there. I have to save my grandfather and brother before the 3-year agreement is up. So that's how it is. Sun Lily nodded her head in understanding and said, then how long is it until the time we agreed on? Exactly half a year, Sima Yue answered. After spending nearly half a year in the imperial capital and 2 years in the Sophia mountain range, he only had half a year left. The Sima family is not a good person. Yue, who made the agreement with you, is that person reliable? Bai Yunqi hated the Sima family very much. She clenched her fists angrily. I made an agreement with Sima Lin. Sima Yue recalled what had happened back then and a cold glint flashed past her eyes. Sima Lin. Hearing this name, Bai Yunqi, Sun Lily, and Li Kuei all frowned. They didn't seem to have heard of this name. What's wrong? Is this person not good? Don't tell me he's the kind of person who doesn't keep his word? Fatty Chu's heart skipped a beat when he saw that their expressions weren't right. What is the strength of that Sima Lin? Sun Lily asked before answering. You were already a high-rank spiritual emperor 2 years ago. I wonder if you've broken through to spiritual elder yet. Sima Yue looked at Sun Lily's strange expression and asked, is there a problem? Yu, as far as we know, this Sima family doesn't have a Sima Lin. Bai Yunqi said. There's no such person? How could this be? Sima Yue and Wei Ziqi were in disbelief. If it was really the Sima family, how could there be no such person? It's true. If it was someone who already had half a foot in the Spirit Paragon realm 2 years ago, then he would definitely be a famous figure in the West Moon Kingdom. However, the Sima family indeed does not have a spirit saint expert called Sima Lin. Li Kuei explained. How could this be? There's actually no Sima Lin. Sima Yue calmed herself down and asked, then is there Sima Kai, Sima Ku? Not at all. We've never heard of the people you mentioned. Bai Yunqi said, we live in Pingkong City with the Sima family. If there is such a person, it's impossible for us not to know. Sima Yue sat on the chair, unable to react. Could it be a mistake? The Sima family you are looking for is not the Sima family in Pingkong City? Bai Yunqi guessed. It's not impossible. Bei Gongtang said, in the same continent, it's not strange to have a family with the same surname. Then do you know if there are any other large families with the surname Sima other than the Sima family in Pingkong City? Ouyang Fei asked. At least there aren't any in the West Moon Kingdom. Li Kuei shook his head and said, I do know a family with the surname Sima. Sun Lili said, however, if it's really that family, you will have to face a huge problem. Which family is that? Fatty Chu asked. Sun Lili thought about it and said, I once heard my husband say that there's a Sima family in Central Wu Kingdom. Hearing Central Wu Kingdom, Li Kuei and Bai Yunqi were shaken, saying, could it be that you're talking about that family? What family? Fatty Chu asked. Actually, although it's said to be one of the 4 great empires, Central Wu Kingdom has many outstanding people and lands, far surpassing the other 3 countries. Bai Yunqi said, even their power is much greater than ours. Why do you say that? Didn't I tell you before that the powers in Yilan continent are divided into 3, 6 and 9 classes? Bai Yunqi said, Central Wu Kingdom has the most first-rate and second-rate powers. Then the Sima family. The Sima family used to be a first-rate power, but in recent years, they've been declining and have already become a second-rate power. Sun Lili said, however, as the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although the Sima family is not as powerful as before, their foundation is still there, and it's not something that can be shaken by ordinary people. That's why I said that if you're looking for that Sima family, then your opponents will be huge. Hearing Sun Lili's words, Sima Yue and the others fell silent. Previously, when they were in Sophia Mountain Range, Bai Yunqi had told them about the 3, 6 and 9 classes of powers. To be a first-rate power, that spirit paragon power would have at least 20 people and above, and at least 100 spirit saints. They controlled a lot of cultivation resources, and also had countless subordinate powers. If it was really the Sima family from Central Wu Kingdom, then it would be extremely difficult for her to save Sima Lai and the others from their hands. Other than these 2 Sima family, are there no others with the surname Sima? Wei Ziqi naturally thought of this point, and asked with furrowed eyebrows. There are many people with the surname Sima, but there aren't many clans. We only know of these 2. Sun Lili said, if we haven't heard of them, then this kind of clan wouldn't have the power to cross the Sophia Mountain Range to capture your grandfather and the others. Then does Madam know what kind of spiritual energy these 2 Sima family members cultivate? Sima Yue asked. The Sima family in Peace City mostly cultivate the metal and earth attributes, while those in Central Wu Kingdom cultivate the fire attribute. Sun Lili replied. Fire attribute. Sima Yue muttered, then it's most likely the Sima family from this afternoon. That's right, my husband also said that he was lucky enough to see a Sima family member from Central Wu Kingdom use a spiritual technique. The flames in the sky condensed into a large blade, and the power of that flaming blade was extremely fierce, easily killing a spirit beast. Flaming blade. Wei Ziqi and the others looked towards Sima Yue, as the technique she used that day was indeed a flaming blade. When Sima Yue heard this, she felt a little more certain. She knew that the Sima family in Central Wu Kingdom was most likely the one she was looking for. If not, Sima Lin had said that even if they retreated, there would be more powerful people coming. To be able to make Sima Lai follow them back without any resistance, they must not be in ordinary power. And Ouyang Fei had said that there wasn't any in South Yu Kingdom, and now there wasn't any in West Moon Kingdom either. There were only Northern Yen and Central Wu Kingdom. If there were other Sima family, Sun Lili and the others who had lived for hundreds of years would definitely know. A first-rate power, even if it has declined, it's still an extraordinary existence. Sima Yue sorted out all these twists and turns, and sighed in her heart. Looks like it would be more difficult to save her grandfather and brothers than she had expected. Seeing Sima Yue remain silent, everyone was worried. Bai Yunqi coughed twice, looked at Sima Yue and asked, Yue, if it's really the Sima family in Central Wu Kingdom, what do you plan to do? Chapter 171. Sima Yue raised her head with determination in her eyes. No matter who they are, they can't stop me. Since we made a 3-year promise, I will fulfill it as scheduled. Good. Sun Lili looked at Sima Yue approvingly. You have such a mindset at such a young age. Not bad. But what if that Sima family isn't the Sima family we're looking for? Fatty Chu said worriedly. Looks like we need to go there and take a look. Sima Yue said. You can rest assured and stay here for a while. Sun Lili said, you saved little Chi-Chi's life, so my sister and brother-in-law will definitely thank you properly. Since the Sangulls are one of the top 3 mercenary groups, they naturally have some influence. It won't be a problem for them to help you gather information. Can I? Sima Yue looked at Sun Lili. Of course. Bai Yunqi said somewhat excitedly, how could I have forgotten about this? You can have father send people to investigate and see if that Sima family is the one you're looking for. What were those people called again? Sima Lai and Sima something? Sima Lin, Sima Kai, Sima Ku, Sima Qing. Sima Yue said. All right, I'll have people use the teleportation array to return in a moment. I'll have father send people to investigate if the Sima family in the central Wu country has these people. Bai Yunqi said. Then I'll have to trouble you. Sima Yue looked at Bai Yunqi gratefully. Young master, leave this matter to me. Li Kuei said. Then I'll have to trouble you, Uncle Li. Bai Yunqi nodded. Li Kuei stood up and bowed to Sun Lili. He nodded to Sima Yue and the rest before leaving the living room. Sun Lili asked Sima Yue and the rest some questions and chatted with them. She was a very talkative person with a straightforward personality. Sima Yue and the rest enjoyed chatting with her. After a while, Wang Lei came back. Seeing his wife smiling so happily, he sat down at the head of the table and drank the tea he had left behind before asking, What are you talking about? You look so happy. I was listening to Yue and the others talking about training in the Sophia mountain range. Sun Lili stopped smiling and asked, How did it go? I've already sent someone to investigate. We'll probably only know the results tomorrow, Wang Lei replied. Then we can only wait for the results. Sun Lili said, Oh right, how much do you know about the Sima family in central Wu country? The Sima family of Zhongwu state? Wang Lei frowned subconsciously. He looked at Sun Lili and asked, Why are you suddenly asking about this? Sun Lili told him about Sima Yue in detail. Towards the end, Wang Lei looked at Sima Yue worriedly. Li Kuei has already sent people to find sister and brother-in-law. We thought that you might know something about the Sima family, so we asked. Sun Lili said. Wang Lei sighed and said, You don't need to investigate. You're looking for the Sima family in central Wu country. Brother Lei, are you sure? Sun Lili asked. Of course I'm sure. Wang Lei said, I'm talking about the people who have met the Sima family. At that time, one of them was called Sima Lin and the other was called Sima Ku. Sima Yue and Wei Ziqi looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with happiness and worry. They were happy because they had finally confirmed Sima Lai's whereabouts, but worried because of the opponent's strength. This time, it would not be easy. Then how can we go to central Wu country? Wei Ziqi asked. The countries here are not very strict. There is a teleportation array in the capital to central Wu country. When the time comes, you can take the teleportation array. Wang Lei said, however, this teleportation array does not appear every day. It only appears once every 3 to 5 days. You will have to go to the capital to ask for the exact time. It's good as long as we can go. Sima Yue's anxious heart was half relieved. She hoped that there would not be a mistake this time. Bai Yunqi saw that they were almost done chatting and knew that Sun Lili and Wang Lei still had things to discuss. He said, Aunt, I'll bring Yue and the rest down first. We agreed before that we would have a good drink with them when we arrived. Go on. They're your friends. You know how to greet them. Sun Lili waved her hand. You guys can stay in the mayor's residence for the next few days. Once your identity is confirmed, we can make our next plans. All right, then we'll have to disturb you. Wei Ziqi and the rest stood up and waved at Wang Lei and Sun Lili before following Bai Yunqi out of the main hall. Let's go, I'll bring you guys to have a good drink today. Bai Yunqi put his arm around Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu's shoulders and laughed loudly as he brought them out. In the living room, Sun Lili watched them leave and said to Wang Lei, "Brother Lei, were you hiding something from us just now?" Wang Lei raised his eyebrows and looked at Sun Lili, not saying a word. "All right, you think I don't know just because you didn't say anything?" Sun Lili stretched out her hand and pinched Wang Lei's nose, saying, "When I saw your expression just now, I knew that you didn't say anything. What is it that you can't say in front of them?" "Actually, it's nothing much. I just heard that something seemed to have happened to the Sima family in central Wu country in the past 2 years. For her to go and save her grandfather and the rest at this time, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse." After speaking, Wang Lei sighed. If it was the Sima family in Peace City, it would not be impossible to save them. However, to go to the Sima family in central Wu country to save them, that would not be an easy thing to do. "I believe that Yu Yue and the other children will be able to do it," Sun Lili said with some confidence. "You believe in them that much?" Wang Lei was a little surprised. He knew very well what kind of foresight his wife had. She had a very harsh foresight towards the youngsters these days. "Before you came, we were chatting and realized that those 5 children were very different from the average youngster." Sun Lili said, "Can you believe it? In order to leave the land of exile, the 5 of them stayed in Sophia mountain range for more than 2 years. Many people will go to Sophia mountain range to gain experience, but the duration is usually a few months to a year. To be able to live in the mountain range for more than 2 years, they must have the calmness of a youngster. They must be able to endure the loneliness, and they must also be careful and have the ability. Otherwise, they would not be able to survive." Sun Lili analyzed. Wang Lei smiled. "The 5 of them really do look different from the average youngster." "That's right, how can my foresight be average?" Bai Yunqi brought Sima Yue and the rest to the small courtyard arranged for them. He got someone to prepare some food and wine, and the 6 of them began to eat and drink in the courtyard pavilion. After 3 cups of wine, Sima Yue said, "Oh Yang, I have a question for you." "What is it?" "Dongchen country, West Moon country, South Yu country, Central Wu country, Northern Yen country. I always thought that they were named according to their location. However, when I came out, I realized that Dongchen country is actually to the west of the 4 great empires." Sima Yue said, "That's right, it's to the west." Ouyang Fei nodded. "Then doesn't that mean there's 1 less country? West Moon country, South Yu country, Central Wu country, Northern Yen country. Then what about the east? Is there no country?" Sima Yue asked. Hearing her question, Ouyang Fei and Bai Yunqi's expressions changed. Chapter 172. Actually, North, South, West and Central are all named according to their positions. As for why there are no countries in the East, it is because that is the endless ocean. It is a vast ocean, so there are no countries. Bai Yunqi replied. "A vast ocean?" Sima Yue recalled that there were also 7 continents and 4 oceans on Earth. She did not find it strange and said, "Then are there no people living in those oceans?" "I don't know if there are people living there," Ouyang Fei said, "because the ocean is more dangerous than Sophia, very few people go there. If there are people living in the ocean, no one will come to the mainland." "It is actually more dangerous than Sophia?" Fatty Chu said in surprise. "Could it be that there are spirit beasts in the ocean?" "Of course there are." Bai Yunqi said, "I once heard from people who came from there that the spirit beasts in the ocean are stronger than those on land. Moreover, many of them live in groups. Once you meet them, there will be thousands or even tens of thousands of them." Once everyone thought of being surrounded by thousands of sea beasts, they could not help but shiver. Everyone chatted and drank until midnight. Sima Yue returned to the room that was arranged for her. She forced out the wine and began to cultivate. If it was really like what Wang Lei and the rest said, that the Sima family was really a first-rate power, then her current strength was not enough. She had to use all the time she had to cultivate. She cultivated for 4 days. In these 4 days, no one came to disturb her. After 4 days, she exited from her cultivation state. She felt that someone was loitering outside. She opened the door and walked out. Bai Yunqi was loitering in the courtyard. When he heard that Sima Yue was not in the room, he did not knock on the door. Now that he saw her come out, he walked over in 2 steps. Yue, you are out. Yunqi, what's the matter? Sima Yue looked around and saw that the others were not around. She asked, where are Ziki and the rest? They all went to the city wall. Bai Yunqi said, I was originally there too. After I received news from my father, I came to find you. I also wanted to see if you were still cultivating. Did you find out about the Sima family? Sima Yue asked. Right, Sima Lin, Sima Kai, and Sima Qing are all from the Central Wu country's Sima family. It seems like your grandfather should also be there. Bai Yunqi said. It's good that we have confirmed their whereabouts. Sima Yue said. At this time, roars suddenly came from the Sophia mountain range. She subconsciously looked in that direction. Is it a beast tide? Yes. Ziki and the rest are all on the city walls. Let's hurry over. I'll tell you the details on the way. Bai Yunqi was a little worried about the situation on the other side. All right. Due to the urgency of the situation, the 2 of them flew directly from the city lord's mansion to the city wall. It turned out that on the 2nd day after Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the castellan's residence, the people who went to investigate came back with bad news. Just as Little Roar had said, the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range were all restless and restless. Many of the spirit beasts in the middle of the mountain range were moving towards the outskirts in an organized manner. This situation was slightly different from the previous waves of spirit beasts, but their destination was indeed 3 Spring City. Originally, they thought that the spirit beasts would wait for some time before attacking. This was because in the past, it would take at least half a month for the spirit beasts to arrive. However, this time was different. On the 2nd morning after the news came back, the soldiers guarding the city discovered that a group of spirit beasts had arrived. Wang Lei hurriedly gathered his men and went to the city walls. He discovered that the spirit beasts that came first did not attempt to attack the humans. Instead, they surrounded the city walls in an orderly manner. It was as if they were waiting for someone to arrive. Sima Yue and Bai Yunqi flew down. The people on the city walls saw them but did not say anything. Although they were not allowed to fly in the city's airspace normally, it was a special time now. This was not something that everyone cared about. Yue, you've come. Bei Gong Tang and the others said when they saw Sima Yue land beside them. They knew that Sima Yue would sometimes take a long time to comprehend, so when they saw that there was no movement in her room, they told Bai Yunqi not to disturb her and waited until she woke up on her own. What's the situation like? Sima Yue asked. Take a look for yourself. Wei Ziqi moved aside, allowing Sima Yue to stand in front. Sima Yue looked down and sucked in a breath of air in shock at the scene below. So many spirit beasts. The spirit beasts below were densely packed. They seemed to have taken up all the space outside, extending all the way to the foot of the Sophia mountain range. There were hundreds and thousands of spirit beasts. Isn't it scary? Fatty Chu looked at the spirit beasts below and said, I'm wondering if all the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range have been gathered here. There's too many of them. With just the few of us, will we be able to hold them off? A spirit master's voice came from the side, sounding a little timid. It wasn't just that spirit master. This was the question in many people's hearts. With so many spirit beasts, would they be able to hold them off with just 1,000 spirit masters? Sima Yue looked at the people on the city wall and asked, Yunqi, have you seen the previous wave of spirit beasts? There are always so many spirit beasts every time. Bai Yunqi didn't think that the number of spirit beasts would increase by quite a bit after she returned. Hearing Sima Yue's question, she shook her head and said, I've been here since the last wave of spirit beasts. At that time, Uncle said that the number of spirit beasts was the highest, but it wasn't even half of this. Wei Ziqi's eyes narrowed. The last wave of spirit beasts was only half a year ago. This time, it's not a normal wave of spirit beasts. Furthermore, looking at how the spirit beasts below are waiting in an orderly manner, It seems like it's organized by someone. Since that's the case, there must be a reason for it. We have to think of a way to find this reason. This might be the key to solving this problem. Hearing this, Bai Yunqi's eyes lit up. She patted Wei Ziqi's shoulder and said, Ziqi is right. Why didn't I think of this before? I'll go and tell Uncle. After speaking, she ran towards Wang Lei's location. Look, that black bear on the left in front. Isn't that the one that chased Fatty Chu off? Sima Yue suddenly pointed to the front and said. Fatty Chu looked over and indeed saw the bear that chased them in the middle of a group of black bears. What the F***ck, it really is it. Fatty Chu had a deep impression of this black bear. Before Sima Yue mentioned it, they didn't notice the group of black bears. Now that she mentioned it, he immediately recognized it. That black bear seemed to feel Fatty Chu and the others' gazes and looked over. It also recognized them at a glance. Roar dash, the black bear roared at them, but it didn't do anything. That black bear has a bad temper. Logically speaking, it should have attacked us after recognizing us. However, it only roared twice. Ouyang Fei said as he furrowed his eyebrows. It's already a divine beast, but it's still acting like this. That means... Fatty Chu's eyes widened, not daring to believe his own guess. Chapter 173. Sima Yue looked at the sunset of the Sophia mountain range and said faintly, only someone of a higher level can make a divine beast listen to him obediently. Furthermore, he has the absolute power to intimidate others. Many people on the wall recognized the spirit beast's strength, so they naturally thought of this too. For example, Wang Lei, whose eyebrows were furrowed, and Sun Lily, who was standing next to him with a determined look on her face. The spirit master that was found at the last minute saw the spirit beasts below and found Wang Lei. After saying something, he quickly left the city wall and flew into the city. That direction was the location of Three Springs City's Spirit Master Guild. With the first person, there were a few more waves of spirit masters who chose to retreat at the last moment. It wasn't that the city lord's mansion's offer wasn't attractive enough, but even if the reward was generous, one had to be alive to enjoy it. Some spirit masters couldn't help but curse when they saw those spirit masters retreating. They really wanted to help Three Springs City resist the beast tide. These spirit masters actually cowered in the face of battle. Fatty Chu looked at the spirit masters who were leaving with contempt in his eyes. If you didn't know Yunqi, would you continue to stay here? Wei Ziqi hit the nail on the head. Fatty Chu rubbed his nose and said, there are so many spirit beasts. If it wasn't for Yunqi helping Yue out, why would we stay here? We're not experts. Fatty, Ziki, Beigong, Ouyang, if a fight really breaks out, sit on your spirit beasts and fight. Don't go down alone. If your spiritual beasts can't hold on any longer, don't engage in battle. Retreat, understand? Sima Yue instructed. We understand. Fatty Chu said, our goal is to accompany you to save grandfather, not to die here. Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei also nodded. Sima Yue looked at the Sophia mountain range again and mumbled, why do I have a bad feeling about this? The spirit beasts below did not move, and the people on the city wall did not dare to act rashly. However, some of the bolder ones simply sat down and leaned against the wall to sleep. When Wang Lei heard Bai Yunqi's words, he glanced at Sima Yue and the others. Then, he sent someone out to try and communicate with the spirit beasts that were temporarily under their control. However, the mythological beast only opened its eyes to take a look before closing them again. It didn't say a single word from beginning to end. Seeing that the other party did not respond, the person who went to communicate with them did not dare to force them. He could only turn around and fly back. Looks like these spirit beasts have made up their minds. Before the spirit beast they're waiting for arrives, they won't move or speak. Bei Gong Tang said when she saw that the negotiators had returned in low spirits. I don't know what exactly happened that caused such a huge commotion among the spirit beasts. Wei Ziqi said as he looked at the Sophia mountain range. No matter what it is, it's definitely not a good thing. Fatty Chu said, do you guys think that it's the boss of Sophia Mountain who did this? Otherwise, Why would there be so many divine beasts? If that's really the case, then it's troublesome. I'm afraid that the entire Three Springs city cannot be protected. Wei Ziqi said. No matter what it is, I'm sure that we'll know the reason soon enough. Sima Yue said as she looked at the changes in the sky. Look, everyone, it's in the sky above Sophia. Someone cried out in shock. Everyone's attention was attracted by that cry as they all looked towards the Sophia mountain range. The last rays of the setting sun disappeared into the other side of the mountain. However, what shocked everyone was not the setting sun, but the rapidly forming dark clouds in the sky above the mountain range. Why would dark clouds suddenly appear? Is it going to rain? How could it be? Something must have happened in Sophia mountain range. What could have caused such a situation to occur? Why do I have a very bad premonition when the dark clouds suddenly cover the sky? While everyone was guessing, the dark clouds became nearer and nearer, but it did not seem like it was going to rain. Sun Lili looked at the dark clouds above Sophia Mountain and her eyes flashed with disbelief. She looked at Wang Lei and said, Brother Lei, could this be? Wang Lei's heart was equally shocked. He understood what Sun Lili meant and said, I really hope that it's not what we think it is. Otherwise, sigh. This was the first time Fatty Chu had seen such a scene. He subconsciously grabbed Wei Ziqi's arm and said, What exactly is going on? Why do I feel such a terrifying power from the dark clouds? Sima Yue called Little Roar out. Once Little Roar saw the dark clouds, he immediately cried out, Divine Beast Transformation. What is a Divine Beast Transformation? Fatty Chu asked. Little Roar did not hover by Sima Yue's side like before. Instead, he drilled into her embrace and explained, Once a spirit beast reaches the level of a sacred beast, it can transform into a human form. However, in order to transform into a human form, it has to go through the baptism of lightning. That means it has to be struck by lightning a few times. If it can withstand it, it can transform into a human form. What if it can't withstand it? Fatty Chu asked. If it can't withstand it, it will turn into ashes. Fatty Chu was shocked by this extreme outcome. He looked at the dark clouds that were still thick and asked, Does every sacred beast experience this? Little Roar rolled his eyes at Fatty Chu and said, Of course not. Only those who want to transform into a human will experience this kind of lightning tribulation. This is something that a transformed beast can choose to do. If they don't want to transform into a human, they won't. When a sacred beast transforms into a human, it will trigger the heavens and attract the lightning tribulation. Then as long as they don't want to transform into a human, they won't experience this? Then why do those sacred beasts choose this? Wei Ziqi did not understand. Once a spirit beast transforms successfully, it will enjoy the highest glory in the spirit beast world. Furthermore, it is easier to cultivate in a human form than a spirit beast. Thus, many sacred beasts will choose to transform when the time is right. Of course, there are also those who choose not to transform. Little Roar explained. Then this sacred beast spirit is really praiseworthy. Fatty Chu sighed. Look at those dark clouds. Just looking at them makes us shiver. Let's not even talk about the lightning that will strike us when the time comes. Indeed, it is worthy of respect. Sima Yue said, However, what I am more worried about is whether that transformed beast has anything to do with the spirit beast wave this time. Yue, why do you say that? Sima Yue felt the power hidden in the dark clouds and said faintly, Intuition. The dark clouds above the Sophia mountain range became denser and denser. From time to time, a few bolts of lightning would appear in the sky, but they were not big. The people on top of the city wall all stared at Sophia mountain range's movements without blinking. The spirit beasts below the city wall all turned around to look in that direction. A few of the lower-ranked spirit beasts were already so scared that they crawled on the ground, trembling nonstop. Sima Yue saw that it was rolling nonstop and there were traces of red in the middle. She said, It's here. Just as she finished speaking, a bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket fell from the sky. As if it had grown eyes, it directly struck towards a certain part of the mountain range. Chapter 174. Crackle. Even standing on the city wall, everyone could feel the power contained in the lightning. Just when everyone thought that the sacred beast would use something to dodge the lightning, a human figure suddenly jumped up from the mountain peak and welcomed the lightning head-on. Bang! The man's arm collided directly with the lightning, and many people closed their eyes. Fatty Chew's eyes widened as he looked at that figure. He smacked his lips and fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva, saying, "That person is the sacred beast that transformed?" "Yes, I can still feel the spirit beast chi on his body," Little Roar said. Sima stretched out her hand and poked Little Roar, "Dog nose. I can smell it from so far away. My sense of smell is much more sensitive than those dogs." Little Roar complained unhappily. Sima looked at the Sophia mountain range. The shock in her heart was not small. To be able to directly resist the lightning, how strong must the sacred beast be? Not long after, the second bolt of lightning struck down. The power it contained was slightly stronger than the previous one. That sacred beast once again chose to soar upwards, and extended his hand to shatter the lightning. Holy sh*t, this guy is too strong. If we were to meet it, we definitely wouldn't have any chance of survival. Fatty Chew held his chest with both hands, afraid that his heart would run out of his chest. Not knowing why, Sima actually thought of the humanoid beast that was with Wu Lingyu when she saw the sacred beast undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Did it experience the same lightning tribulation? She shook her head. Why did she suddenly think of that person? Not long after the second bolt of lightning struck, the third bolt of lightning struck. For the first 3 bolts of lightning, the sacred beast had to face them head-on. Although he wasn't weak, he was still badly injured. After 3 bolts of lightning, the dark clouds showed no signs of dissipating. Instead, they grew thicker and thicker in the sky. Little Roar squinted his eyes and said, "The sacred beast's bloodline that is transforming is not low." "How do you know?" Fatty Chew asked. Although every shape-shifting beast will experience the same lightning tribulation, there are still differences. The higher the bloodline, the more powerful the manifestation lightning tribulation would be. The first 3 bolts of lightning were not weak. They were comparable to the bolts of lightning from a sacred beast. However, the clouds are still thickening, which means that the lightning will be even stronger later on. Little Roar explained. "I'm really curious about the body of that transformed beast." "I'm curious too," Sima said calmly. "However, I hope that it has nothing to do with this beast wave. If not, it would be dangerous." Wei Ziqi said. "There's no point in thinking about it now." Ouyang Fei hugged his sword and looked into the distance, saying, "No matter what, we're here now. There are so many spirit beasts outside, we can't escape even if we want to. Let's wait and see. If it's a blessing, it won't be a disaster. If it's a disaster, we won't be able to avoid it," Bei Gongtang said. After a long while, the tribulation cloud sent down another bolt of lightning. This time, the lightning was even thicker than before. Everyone even felt that the entire earth was trembling the moment the lightning struck. How many thunderbolts are there in total? 9. Every 3 bolts of lightning are considered a small tribulation. The difference in strength is not big, but the strength of the 3 small tribulations is multiplied. Little Roar said, "This sacred beast's strength is enough to handle the first 6 bolts of lightning. However, I don't know if he can handle the last 3. Many of them were turned into ashes by the last 3 bolts of lightning." Hearing Little Roar say this, the few people's hearts were raised. The first 3 bolts of lightning were already so powerful, who knew what the last 3 would be like? After breaking through 5 bolts of lightning, the sacred beast chose to accept the baptism of the lightning tribulation, allowing the lightning to strike its body. This was the first time many people saw the sacred beast shape-shifting. Seeing it take the lightning head-on, they said, "Why didn't it run?" This manifestation lightning tribulation cannot be run away. This tribulation cloud has already locked onto it. No matter where it goes, the lightning will strike. Even if you turn a corner at the last moment, you will realize that the lightning can turn even more than you can. Little Roar said. This manifestation lightning tribulation was originally formed because of the sacred beast shape-shifting. What it sought was its aura. What if someone went to help it pass the tribulation? For example, if they installed a lightning rod nearby, wouldn't that lead the lightning straight to the ground? Sima Yue said. You're so stupid. Since this is a manifestation lightning tribulation, it naturally is not an ordinary lightning. It will only strike the shape-shifting beast, not your lightning rod. Little Roar said in disdain. If someone dares to go and help it, then the lightning tribulation's strength and quantity will double. At that time, it won't be helping, but more of a hindrance. Then in the future, when you shapeshift, I can't help you? Sima Yue asked again. Little Roar then knew that she was worried about them. His heart felt warm as he said, if we shapeshift, you can come with us, but others can't. The contract allows this kind of situation. The sacred beast should have been directly beaten down by the last 3 bolts of lightning. For a long time, there was no reaction at all. Just as everyone was guessing that he had been turned into ashes by the lightning tribulation, a terrifying pressure came from the Sophia mountain range. All the spirit beasts prostrated themselves on the ground, bowing towards the Sophia mountain range. Even Little Roar came out from Sima Yue's embrace and lowered his head towards that direction. Little Roar, why are you bowing to it? Fatty Chu looked at Little Roar. Could it be that he was also intimidated by that pressure? Little Roar raised his head and returned to Sima Yue's embrace, saying, this is a form of respect for a spirit beast that has successfully shapeshifted. That pressure slowly dissipated. Following that, a light that signified a promotion came from the mountain range. Damn, this guy actually got promoted after going through the manifestation lightning tribulation. Little Roar saw the promotion light and could not help but curse. When the promotion light dissipated, the long night had also passed and the sky was already turning white. This night, everyone was too shocked. The power of nature and the sacred beast's strength still made them feel fear. It was as if the lightning was still echoing in their ears and the sky above their heads could explode at any time. While everyone's hearts were palpitating, they were also worried. If this beast wave was related to the shapeshifted beast, then this would be a catastrophe for Three Springs City. Brother Lei, what do we do now? Sun Lili looked at Wang Lei worriedly. Wang Lei looked at the spirit beasts below and said, no matter what, as the city lord of Three Springs City, I naturally have to stay with Three Springs City. As for the others, the women and children should have already evacuated. If those spirit masters want to leave, then let them leave. The final result will be left to the heavens. Hearing that they could leave, many spirit masters immediately retreated from the city walls. However, before they could fly far, they were forced to the ground by the pressure coming from behind. It's here. The people on the city walls saw a figure quickly approaching from the Sophia mountain range. That figure was the sacred beast. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.